Chapter 1426. The two forces clashed within Li Fan's body, using his body as a battlefield, killing each other inside his body. Li Fan felt a sweetness in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood blended into the lake and dyed it red. The four beautiful sword maids were shocked to see this, and their hearts ached for him. However, at this moment, a faint white light shone from Li Fan's body, enveloping his entire body. At the same time, a black light enveloped him. The two rays of light revolved around his body, slowly forming a chaotic Tai Chi diagram. The Tai Chi diagram spun along with the lake water. However, this Tai Chi diagram spun in a straight line, and in reverse at other times. It was extremely strange. As the Tai Chi diagram spun, Chun, and the others could clearly feel the life energy in the surroundings being sucked into it, as if it was replenishing Li Fan's energy. When the Tai Chi diagram spun in reverse, life energy was released once again, causing the surroundings to be filled with vitality. The koi in the lake were suffering this pain. Their life energy was being sucked out and returned to them. However, every time they did this, they seemed to become stronger. Even the four sword maids by the lake were receiving the same treatment. Their life energy was being sucked out and returned again and again. However, the four sword maids realized that their life energy was being strengthened continuously. At the same time, this life energy was also nourishing their bodies, as if it was cleansing their bones and marrow, making them stronger. "What is this thing?" Xia could not help but ask. "It's so comfortable." Again, Chio looked like she was begging for a beating. Chun did not speak, but her gaze was solemn. She looked at Li Fan with even more respect. Dong on the other hand, was deep in thought. This was the first time she had seen something so strange. However, it seemed like the young master's energy was being transformed continuously. She did not know what had happened to him, but it seemed like he had obtained some sort of opportunity. Just as the Tai Chi diagram spun 81 times, and then reversed 81 times, Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes. Two bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes, causing the four beautiful attendants to tremble at the same time. Bang! Li Fan was like a swimming dragon. She leaped out of the lake and landed on the ground. But after jumping out and taking just one step, he immediately felt his legs go weak and he almost fell. Fortunately, Chun reacted quickly and stepped forward to support her husband. "Husband, what's wrong with you?" "I'm fine. I'm just cultivating my meridians in reverse. I'm a little weak." Li Fan smiled. It was hard to tell if he was good or bad. "Husband, please take a seat." Chun helped Li Fan sit on a stone bench in the courtyard. Then, she used her inner power to dry his clothes and wiped the water from his head. She then instructed Chio, who was beside her. "Chio, go and get some hot soup for your husband to get rid of the cold in his body." "Yes." Chio immediately left the pavilion, while Li Fan sat on a stone bench. His body exuded a special aura. "Young master, have you mastered it?" Dong was also a little curious. She walked forward and asked gently. "I'm not sure either, but my dantian has already been shattered." Li Fan laughed bitterly. "What?" Xia's face paled as she exclaimed, "Then won't your martial arts be crippled? How could he cultivate if his dantian was shattered?" "My dantian is indeed shattered, but somehow, I managed to cultivate this thing." As Li Fan spoke, he placed his hands in front of him and began to circulate his martial arts. Then, a Tai Chi diagram slowly appeared behind Li Fan and began to rotate. "In my body, my dantian is gone. This Tai Chi diagram replaces my dantian and rotates in my body, sending my inner power into my meridians every day. From today onwards, the Tai Chi diagram in my body will start to circulate. For 81 days, the Tai Chi diagram will rotate, and my martial arts will continue to increase. However, after 81 days, my inner power will reverse, and my entire body will start to deteriorate. On that day, I will be extremely weak and will need protection. This is really an amazing martial art. The beauties looked at each other. This was the first time they had heard of such a martial art. Is this considered immortal cultivation? Li Fan asked excitedly. Although he would be weakened once every 3 months, the shackles in his body would be broken, and he could use this martial art to continuously strengthen himself. As long as he could ensure his own safety on that day, everything would be fine. After that day, he would undergo a metamorphosis, and his strength would increase by 1/10. Although it was only 1/10, his strength would continue to grow, and every 1/10 would be different. In a few years, or even a few decades, he would definitely be able to reach the immortal realm. I heard that immortal cultivators cultivate an inner core. In the end, the inner core will turn into a nascent soul, and the nascent soul will turn into a golden body. Dong shook her head and said, however, young master has cultivated a Tai Chi diagram. In my opinion, it is still your Dantian, but you have materialized your Dantian. From now on, your Dantian will no longer restrict your progress. Like you, it will continue to evolve as you improve. So that's how it is. Looks like I am still a martial artist, and not an immortal cultivator. Li Fan laughed heartily and was rather open-minded, but so what? There are thousands of Daos, and when did I enter the Dao through martial arts? His boldness caused the hearts of the beautiful sword attendants to race like a galloping horse. With that, Li Fan's expression turned serious. I suffered some internal injuries while cultivating today, and tomorrow will be my weakest moment. Only after tomorrow will I be able to grow my strength back. I will have to rely on the few of you to protect me for these 2 days. Don't worry, husband. The few of us swear to protect you with our lives. While Chun was speaking, Chio had already brought over the freshly brewed ginseng soup. Chun helped Li Fan drink some. This ginseng was fed by Luo Xiaofeng using elixirs, and it was more nourishing. After drinking a little, Li Fan felt that his dantian had become much warmer. Chun thank you. Li Fan was very grateful. He subconsciously grabbed Chun-er's wrist. Who would have thought that the inner strength in Chun-er's body would be absorbed by Li Fan the moment he placed his hand on her wrist? Chun-er's body stiffened, but she did not resist. If her husband needed her strength, she was willing to give it to him. Li Fan was a little shocked. He had no intention of taking away Chun-er's strength. It seemed like the Tai Chi diagram in his body had given him a passive buff. How was he going to have sex with women in this state? However, with a thought, the Tai Chi diagram reversed and sent the inner strength back into Chun-er's body. Furthermore, the power that was returned was even purer than before. Chun-er smiled widely, and could not help but tease her husband. Husband, you've become a human-shaped furnace now. Chapter 14:27. Li Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. What the hell was a human-shaped cauldron? However, his current situation was not too far off either. He could actually absorb the opponent's inner force and refine it in his body before sending it back. Right now, he was simply a cultivation treasure for martial practitioners. As long as he was in his hands, he would definitely be able to cultivate a pure inner force. Anyway, I hope that I can get through today peacefully. Li Fan sat on the stone bench. I want to continue cultivating and heal my injuries first. As he spoke, Li Fan walked towards the man-made lake. Husband, your body is unwell. It's not good to cultivate in a shady place, right? Chun-er advised. Young master cultivates a soft inner force. It's best to cultivate in such a cold place. Dong reminded Chun. Let young master continue cultivating. We'll just guard him. You're right. I was foolish. Chun nodded and spread out with the beautiful sword attendants to guard Li Fan. Li Fan soaked himself in the lake again and began to cultivate. He could not recover his inner force today and could only heal his internal injuries first. After going through a reversal of meridians, Li Fan had profited from a disaster. As the saying went, there can be no construction without destruction. His meridians were severely damaged, but they became much stronger under the refinement of his life force. Li Fan named his cultivation method Nine Dragons Art, Yin-Yang Reversal. However, cultivating the yin-yang technique in reverse was extremely dangerous. One wrong step could lead to eternal damnation. If Li Fan didn't rely on the surrounding lake water that matched with his feminine inner force, as well as the inner force provided by the 4 powerful female sword attendants, he was afraid that he wouldn't have the slightest effect even if he practiced randomly. Instead, he would have destroyed the cultivation that he had painstakingly cultivated. Amitba. Elder Xia, why don't I see Villa Masterly today? At this moment, a Shaolin monk asked Xia Ho in the main hall of the Seven Heroes Villa. As the welcoming elder, Xia Ho was extremely busy as Li Fan did not come out. Inside and outside the villa, there was an endless stream of guests. Because they were all martial artists, and they were here to participate in Li Fan's washing of hands in the Golden Basin Assembly, it was not appropriate for the villa to decline. The world of martial arts had returned to how it was in the past, and the 6 great sects had even gathered at the Seven Knights Villa. Wudong, Shaolin, Amei, Qingqing, Kunlun, and Kongtong. Jin Yang's novels always liked to use history to recreate, and his most famous was The Deer and the Cauldron. The sects in his novel also existed in reality. This was the case for the 6 great sects, especially Wudong and Shaolin, which were famous all over the world because of Jin Yang's novels. However, in the past 2 years, Shaolin had been paying more and more attention to its brand. It even banned the word Shaolin from Jin Yang's TV series, which made people speechless. But people in the martial arts world knew that Shaolin had always been divided into the inner temple and the outer temple. The abbot of the outer temple was Shi Yong Axian. It was extremely commercialized and the outer temple was run like a big company. However, the monks of the inner temple were different. Under the support of the outer temple, the monks of the Shaolin inner temple trained hard in martial arts and carried forward Patriarch Bodhidharma's Kung Fu. The person who spoke was none other than the abbot of the Shaolin inner temple, Master Yusu. The old monk had the cultivation of a grandmaster and was said to be in the process of breaking through to half-saint. He had traveled thousands of miles from Hunan's Mount Song to come here. First, he wanted to express his gratitude to Li Fan. Second, he wanted to ask him for advice on martial arts. Shaolin cultivated Buddhist Kung Fu and both Buddhism and martial arts. The old monk had some attainments in Buddhism, but he had not made any progress in martial arts for a long time. That was why he was anxious. Everyone in the martial arts world knew that the abbot of Shaolin Temple, Master Yusu, was a martial arts fanatic. Master, please forgive us. Our master is still in seclusion today and will only come out tomorrow. Xia Ho hurriedly said to Master Yusu. Seclusion. He will retire tomorrow. Why is he still in seclusion today? Long Bailey, the sect leader of the Kongtong sect, was quite displeased. We came all the way here to find him, but he is hiding. What's the meaning of this? I'm sorry. Our master is in seclusion. Xia Ho was quick-witted and had already thought of an excuse. Our master suffered some internal injuries in the battle on the island not long ago. He has been recuperating in seclusion for the past few days. Amitba. Master Li is doing his best for the common people. Master Yusu of Shaolin Temple could not help but sigh. Yes, Master Li has a good temper. I admire him very much. Wu Jizi, the sect leader of the Wudang sect, sat next to him and stroked his beard in agreement. Even so, it's not good to leave us here, is it? Yu Ruoying, the sect leader of Amei, was also a heroine and a hero of the martial arts world. Her temper was not very good. After all, she was in charge of a group of female disciples. If she was too good-tempered, she would not be able to control these girls. Amei's sect was not a nunnery, and Yu Ruoying was not a nun. Although she was in her 40s, it was not difficult to tell that she was a beauty in the past. Yes, isn't this too impolite to us? Wang Zhini, the sect leader of the Qingqing sect, was not tall and had a fiery temper. He shouted in Sichuan dialect, "We are the sect leaders of the 6 great sects, but Master Li is avoiding us. Is he looking down on us?" Sect leader Wang, you misunderstood. Our master is indeed recuperating in seclusion. Please forgive him. Xia Ho did not want to offend the people of the 6 great sects, mainly because Li Fan was about to retire from the martial arts world. She did not want to cause trouble for her junior brother. Sect leader Wang is right. Long Bailey, the sect leader of the Kongtong sect, slapped his thigh. Where is your master in seclusion? I want to see what kind of person he is. Long Bailey was about to stand up and rush out with anger. Wang Zhini kept egging him on. Yes, 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 let's go and see. Master Li's martial arts are not bad, but he is too arrogant. Today, I want to ask him for advice on the rules of the martial arts world. The 2 sect leaders held hands and were about to go out. Xia Ho was a little angry. These guys clearly got their martial arts back because of their junior brother, but now they want to ask him for advice on the rules of the martial arts world. What a joke. In the past, I heard that the sect leaders of the 6 great sects are all shameless. I didn't believe it before, but now that I see it, it is indeed so. At this moment, a figure blocked in front of them. It was a jade-faced man. He looked young, and there was a hint of evil charm between his eyebrows. Xia Ho slightly frowned. Lu Zhu, why is he here? Although he had disguised himself a little, it wouldn't be good if he was recognized. Who do you think you are? Get lost! Long Bailey roared. His voice was filled with true qi, wanting to scare away the fair-faced young man in front of him. Unexpectedly, the young man did not care. Instead, he picked up a fan and waved it in front of him. Me? I am just a nobody, but I have admired Master Li for a long time. Chapter 1428. I heard that Villa Master Li retired from Jianghu in order to abolish the ban on martial arts, and even moved the 7 Knights Villa out of Huaxia. In the end, not only did the sect leaders not appreciate it, but they even went to cause trouble while the Villa Master was injured. What are you guys thinking? Do you want to take the Villa Master's life while he is recuperating? Don't talk nonsense, kid. I don't have such thoughts. Qingqing sect leader Wang Jin rolled his eyes and refused to admit it. Do I need you to tell me what I want to do? Long Bailey had a bad temper. He directly stretched out his hand and slapped Lu Zhu's shoulder. Slap! A handsome man walked out from the side. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Long Bailey's wrist. At the same time, the true qi that erupted from Long Bailey's hand flowed through his body and into the ground under his feet. Crack! A crack appeared on the floor beneath his feet. Yen Kai. Long Bailey was a little surprised to see that the handsome man had easily dissolved his palm energy. You are a Wu-Tang abandoned disciple and a stray dog. How dare you act presumptuously in front of me? I heard that your blazing sun palm is extremely young and is one of the best in the world. Seeing it today, it is only so-so. Who was Yen Kai? In the entire villa, there was no one more arrogant than him. Long Bailey had indeed chosen the wrong target to humiliate him. Once Yan Kai started mocking people, it was like a nuclear bomb. In the past, Guan Bao had suffered a lot. Today, it was someone else's turn. Bastard, say that again. Long Bailey raised his eyebrows and glared fiercely at Yan Kai. You are just a Wu-Tang abandoned disciple. How dare you talk to me like this? Yeah, I didn't expect that you are even worse than a Wu-Tang abandoned disciple. Yan Kai laughed loudly. Even a good-for-nothing should have a limit, sect leader Long. You are courting death. Long Bailey raised his palm again. There was even a golden red glow on his palm. The most famous martial arts of the Kong Tong sect was the blazing sun palm. Combined with the pure yang internal energy of the Kong Tong sect, the palm could become as strong as a diamond. It was extremely powerful and could break gold and jade. In the martial arts world, inner strength was divided into yang and yin. For example, the Kong Tong sect had two types of internal energy. One was the elementary internal energy technique, blazing sun technique, and the other was the advanced internal energy technique, extreme yang illuminating technique. Both were pure yang techniques. This kind of yang-type inner force was strong in terms of explosiveness. Once it erupted, it would be like a volcano. As for the martial arts that Li Fan practiced, the Seven Heroes force from the beginning was an inner force of extreme yang. But later on, the Nine Dragons art started to lean towards the yin side because of the profound ice-cold qi. In addition, Mount Amay's beginner-level internal energy technique, Jade Flower technique, and high-grade internal energy technique, Nine-Leaf Lotus technique, were both classified as yin-type internal energy techniques. The advantage of yin attribute inner force was that it could last for a long time. Although it was not explosive enough and its power was not as strong as yang attribute inner force, it had a continuous and endless after effect. It was suitable for tangled and prolonged battles. Long Bailey's blazing sun palm was a masculine palm technique that complemented pure yang martial arts. He could unleash 120% of his full power. On the other hand, Yan Kai practiced Wudong's advanced internal energy technique, the Tai Chi divine skill. There were so many internal energy techniques in the world, but the Tai Chi divine skill was different. This inner force technique had both yang and yin attributes. It had a continuous after effect and an explosive effect. But when practicing this inner force technique, it still depended on the person and the attribute. For example, Yan Kai's personality was more feminine, so he cultivated the yin taiji. Back then, a junior brother of his from the same sect cultivated the firm and fierce yang taiji. Long Bailey circulated his inner force to 70%, preparing to teach Yan Kai a lesson. But at this moment, a loud and clear voice came from behind him. Amateus Buddha. Long Bailey forcefully retracted the palm that he was about to strike out. Wu Jizi, this person has already been expelled from the Wu-Tang sect by you. Are you still going to stand up for him? Long Bailey turned around and looked at the Wu-Tang sect leader, who had followed him out, and asked. Long Bailey, haven't you noticed? Yan Kai's strength is not much different from yours. However, Wu Jizi's expression was calm. He had a gentle personality to begin with. Back then, it was not his idea to expel Yan Kai from the sect, but the law enforcement hall's idea. But after Yan Kai left the sect, although he had become a peerless expert, Wu Jizi did not regret it. This was his personality, gentle and calm. However, the junior brother beside him didn't think that way. Wu Yangzi held the position of the law enforcement elder in the Wu-Tang sect. He walked out of the door with his hands hidden in his sleeves, stood beside Wu Jizi, and said sarcastically. Senior brother sect leader, you can't say that. Isn't this boosting the morale of others and diminishing our own prestige? How could a traitorous disciple like Yan Kai cultivate any profound martial arts? Since sect leader Long is willing to help us clean up the sect, we should help him. Sect leader Long, this traitorous disciple has left the sect, and he is still practicing our Wu-Tang sect's Tai Chi divine technique. He is tarnishing our Wu-Tang sect's reputation. This is too much. Daoist Wu Yangzi is still reasonable. Long Bailey laughed when he heard that. This kid is practicing the Yin Taiji, sect leader Long, Wu Yangzi continued, but his left hand's martial arts are not practiced to perfection. You just need to attack his left hand. Ha! Yan Kai could not help but laugh when he heard that. What a good law enforcement elder of Wu-Tang. If you want to fight, do it yourself. Why do you have to persuade sect leader Long? Although sect leader Long is a bit brainless, I can't bear to see him being used by you like this. A fool is so pitiful, isn't it? Bastard! You're courting death. Long Bailey was furious when he heard that Wu Yangzi was scolding him. An abandoned disciple of Wu-Tang dared to be so presumptuous in the Seven Chivalry Mountain Villa. It seemed that a protector was already like this. It seemed that the villa master was also like this. Today, I will let this group of people know that the martial arts world belongs to the 6 major sects. If it was not for the government's ban on martial arts, how could they have allowed the Seven Chivalry Mountain Villa to appear? Let me teach you a lesson on behalf of Wu-Tang. Long Bailey said. This time, he did not hold back. He directly used the scorching sun palm sunlight illumination and pressed it on Yan Kai's chest. Good timing. Yan Kai laughed heartily and allowed Long Bailey's palm to land on his chest. Long Bailey's scorching sun palm was invincible and indestructible. Even if it was a stone tablet, it would be smashed into pieces by his palm. If a person's chest was hit by his scorching sun palm, their sternum would also be smashed and their internal organs would be infected. However, at this moment, when his palm hit Yan Kai's chest, it was as if he had hit cotton. Yan Kai stood there unscathed, but the ground beneath his feet cracked even more severely. What? Long Bailey was shocked. This abandoned disciple of Wu-Tang had actually practiced the Tai Chi divine technique to such a level. The Tai Chi divine technique was originally a Daoist martial art, but Yan Kai had actually practiced it to such a level. Chapter 1429. Immeasurable Deity. Even the calm Wu Jizi could not help but call out his Taoist name when he saw this scene. Even if it was him, he probably wouldn't be able to do it so perfectly. Yan Kai was indeed talented in martial arts. Unfortunately, he was lacking in Taoist techniques. If he could study Taoist techniques properly, he would definitely become a great person in the future. Sigh, what a pity, what a pity. Wu Jizi was worried about Yan Kai's personal situation, not for the sake of Wudong, nor was he jealous of Yan Kai's growth. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Kid, your martial arts are not bad, but you are still not my opponent. Long Bailey felt embarrassed. He did not expect that an abandoned disciple of Wudong would have such a high level of martial arts. Sect leader Long, show me what you are not capable of. If this Taoist is afraid of you, then my surname is not Yan. Yan Kai did not put Long Bailey in his eyes at all. His gaze fell on Lu Zhu, and a trace of cunning flashed in his eyes. Little brother, this Taoist admires you. You are so young, but you are very brave. You dare to fight against evil forces. Not bad, not bad. With one sentence, he classified Long Bailey and the others as evil forces. Keep your mouth to yourself. Wu Yangzi hid his hands in his sleeves and stood at the side. He said in a strange tone, You evil disciple, if you do not restrain yourself, sooner or later, you will die miserably. This Taoist can do whatever he wants. What does it have to do with you? Are you my illegitimate son from many years ago? Yan Kai's mouth was indeed unkind, making Wu Yangzi angry. However, in front of so many people, he could not flare up. After all, he was a famous senior. He could not be like Long Bailey, who was shameless and attacked a junior. Everyone, calm down. Xia Ho also walked out and comforted everyone. Tomorrow is the day our manor lord retires. If you have any grievances in the Jianghu, please tell our manor lord tomorrow. However, the villa master is recuperating in seclusion today. I hope that everyone will give face to our 7 Knights villa and make an exception. Everyone is from the same sect in the martial arts world. Since you have come today, our villa master will naturally treat you with courtesy. However, if you don't speak plainly and continue to be overbearing, then don't think that my 7 Chivalry villa is a pushover. As she spoke, Xia Yi waved her hand, and a row of 7 hero sword guards suddenly appeared on the roof to the side. Every single one of them had sharp gazes, and they held swords in their hands as they glared at the crowd below. Seeing this scene, even Long Bailey couldn't help but swallow his saliva. The 7 Knights villa actually had so many experts. He seemed to have underestimated the 7 Knights villa. What? Is the 7 Chivalry villa going to make a move against us? Wang Zhini rolled his eyes and said, No. Xia Ho's voice was a little more forceful. As I said, if you are guests, my villa will naturally treat you with courtesy. But when it comes to troublemakers, our villa is never polite. That's right. At this moment, a peerlessly beautiful woman in a white robe floated down before the crowd like a fairy descending from the heavens. Undying evil Buddha. Heavens, this woman is really in the 7 Chivalry villa. As soon as Imperial concubine Zhou appeared, although she was incomparably beautiful, her body exuded an invisible majesty that covered the surroundings, making people like Long Bailey not dare to have any thoughts of resisting. Although my 7 Chivalry villa is withdrawing from the pugilistic world, we are not afraid of anyone. Imperial concubine Zhou stood there. Although her voice was soft, no one dared to refute. Xia Ho, when Li Fan is in seclusion, this concubine will do her best to assist you. Imperial concubine Zhou slowly said, if anyone doesn't want to cause trouble, just kill them. Yes. Xia Yi nodded. Long Bailey wanted to say something, but he swallowed his words. Who was Imperial concubine Zhou? Undying evil Buddha. The great devil from hundreds of years ago. It was said that her strength had already reached the divine realm. Just the martial arts she created had benefited Lu Jinchan a lot. Now, people in the pugilistic world were scrambling for her. Let's not talk about meeting Villa Master Li. Yu Ruoying suddenly took 2 steps forward and said, I heard that your sect has a set of fast sword technique called 12 Dragon Subduing Swords. Many people claim that this sword technique is the #1 sword technique in the pugilistic world. I would like to ask for advice. Imperial concubine Zhou, can this junior have this honor? Yu Ruoying was straightforward, without any concealment. Seeing that she was a woman, Imperial concubine Zhou had a good impression of her. In addition, Yu Ruoying was polite to her, so she became a bit gentler. I heard that Amei's Cold Snow Plum Blossom sword is very powerful. It is the #1 sword technique. My family's Li Fan's 12 Dragon Subduing Swords is a one-handed fast sword technique, while your sect is a two-handed sword technique. They cannot be compared. The Cold Snow Plum Blossom sword was created by the second-generation Amei sect leader, and then passed down by the Amei disciples. Although it is a two-handed sword technique, it is also a sword technique. Since the 7 Chivalry Villa has a better sword technique, I naturally want to ask for advice. Alright. Imperial concubine Zhou did not refuse. She had always admired people who directly challenged others. But with this concubine's identity, it is not convenient for me to attack you. You are also a sect leader, so you should not casually challenge others. How about this, you send one of your best disciples to challenge one of my disciples? What do you think? This is naturally very good. Yu Ruoying was very happy. She glanced at the female disciple beside her. This female disciple was only 18 or 19 years old. She looked very young, delicate, and cute. She had black hair and bright eyes. Although she obediently stood beside the sect leader, her pitch-black eyes were secretly looking around. She was full of curiosity about everything. She wore a light pink dress that only Immerse sect's inner disciple wore. Her long black hair was tied into a braid that hung down to her buttocks. On her back were two Immerse treasured swords. These two swords were named Clear Wind and Bright Moon. They were the swords of the Immerse sect leader, Yu Ruoying. This female disciple was her last disciple. She was very fond of her and even passed these two swords to her. Yu, your sword technique has improved today. You have also comprehended 70 to 80% of the Cold Snow Plum Blossom sword. Why don't you ask for advice from the 7 Chivalry Villas senior and junior brothers? Ah, master. I can do it. When this female disciple from Immerse sect heard her master call her, she was instantly shocked. Her large black eyes widened, and her eyelashes fluttered. She seemed to be in slight disbelief. Senior Zhou, this is Junior's last disciple, Wang Yu. Her qi is not good, but her martial arts are still passable. She is a good material. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Wang Yu and nodded in gratification. If she is properly taught, her future will be limitless. Why aren't you thanking Senior? Yu Ruoying turned her head around and glared at her little disciple. Thank you, Senior. Wang Yu timidly bowed to Imperial concubine Zhou, but her eyes were secretly glancing at Imperial concubine Zhou's appearance. This big sister is really beautiful. Chapter 1430. Wang Yuer's senior martial sisters all looked at her enviously. This girl had not been in Immerse for a long time, but she was deeply liked by the sect leader. Even the 2 accompanying swords were passed on to this girl. Who knew if the position of sect leader would also be passed on to her in the future? This girl's martial arts skills were low, and her qualifications were shallow. What did she have to deserve this? Zhou, come here. Imperial concubine Zhou thought for a moment and waved her hand. Yes. Zhou was standing at the side, watching the bustle. He had been at the 7 Knights Villa for some time now, and his martial arts could be considered to have reached a certain level. His progress in the 7 Heroes Fist was very good, so Jiang Yi admired him and taught him a few moves of the dragon subduing sword. Although the 7 Knights Villa was moving overseas, it did not affect Zhou. In particular, Li Jiadao was visa-free in China. It was not difficult to move there to study. He could just treat it as going abroad to further his studies. Zhou, how many sword techniques did Jiang Yi teach you before he left? Elder Zhou, second senior sister, taught me 5 moves that day. They are Tornado Clouds, Azure Dragon Piercing the Sun, Flying Dragon Flurry, Azure Dragon Water, and Dragon Locking Divine Weapon. Yes. Imperial concubine Zhou nodded. These 5 moves should be enough. You should compete with this senior sister. You have to be more attentive. Don't lose your master's face. Yes. Zhou was actually a little excited. He had been in the sect for so long, but he had yet to make any contributions to the sect. Today was an opportunity. The young lady in front of him was as beautiful as a flower and as delicate as the moon. With one look, one could tell that her martial arts attainments were not high. Don't be careless. Let me ask you, what level are you at with your 7 heroes force? Li Fan had already reorganized the 7-gallant force. Now, the 7-gallant force had a total of 9 levels, corresponding to the 9 dragon mantra. When the 7 heroes force reached the 9th level, they would have the right to practice the high-level 9 dragons mantra. This was similar to the method of the 6 great system allocated sections. This disciple is untalented and has only reached the 5th level. The 5th level. That's the power of perfection. Imperial concubine Zhou calculated the time. This speed was already very fast. As expected of a disciple that even Jiang Yi took a liking to, he indeed had some talent. Yu Ruoying, how strong is your little disciple? Yu Yi, what level has your jade flower skill reached? Yu Ruoying asked proudly. Disciple has just reached the 4th level. Yu Ruoying's face immediately froze, and the surrounding disciples also secretly let out shameful laughter. Nonsense. You've been in the sect for 2 years, but you've only reached the 4th level of an elementary mental cultivation method. The 4th layer, which was the peak of the integrated mastery realm, was invisibly weaker than the people from the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa. You don't have to worry about the length of time you have to cultivate. Imperial concubine Zhou kindly comforted her. Moreover, the two of them are only competing in swordsmanship, not in internal energy. If it's a competition of inner force, this Empress will personally take action. Who here can match this Empress? Yu Ruoying didn't say anything. She thought to herself, you're already a martial saint, who can compare to you in terms of internal energy. If it weren't for you protecting 7 Knights Mountain Villa, it would have been destroyed by the people from the 6 great system allocated sects a long time ago. Long Bailey, Wang Zhini, and the others were all jealous. This damned Li Fan, how did he repay Imperial Consort Zhou? The reason why he could reach this stage today was probably because he had learned a lot of divine skills from Imperial concubine Zhou. But this wasn't the most important thing. I heard that this kid caught the 9-tailed divine fox, and that demon fox stole the hero's token, which had an immortal technique left behind by an immortal. What closed-door recuperation, he was obviously secretly practicing immortal techniques, right? Lu Jinchan was the leader of the Heaven Alliance in the Central Plains, and his hero's token naturally belonged to the Central Plains. How could he let this foreign martial artist take it away? However, they also wanted to see how powerful this so-called dragon-subduing sword created by Li Fan was. They heard that after he created the 7 Chivalry Fist, he also created the more profound 9 Dragon's Will. There were 9 ultimate skills in the 9 Dragon's Will, and the most famous one was the dragon-subduing sword, which was made famous by River Yi when he roamed the martial arts world. Wang Zhini silently stood at the side, his eyes filled with disdain. 9 ultimate skills. What nonsense. The novels recorded that Shaolin had 72 ultimate skills, but that was all nonsense to deceive people. If a sect could have one ultimate skill to protect the sect, they would be able to become one of the 6 great sects. The so-called 9 unique skills was nothing more than a boast. Senior, you're right. Both sides' strength is about the same, and the main point of the competition is sword techniques. Yu Ruoying pointed at her young disciple. Go and learn from him. Junior sister, don't make master angry again. An Amei female disciple said to Wang Yue with a giggle. Shut up. Yu Ruoying's face was as pale as jade. She showed her female might and scolded her disciple. The female disciple was shocked and quickly lowered her head, not daring to speak nonsense. Yue, just do your best. Go. Yu Ruoying might have said that, but she did not want her young disciple to lose. Cold Snow Plum Blossom Sword was a martial art passed down in Amei sect for hundreds of years. Today, she had to prove that the best sword technique in the world belonged to Amei sect. Junior sister of Amei sect, please give me your guidance. Yin Zhozhou wrapped his fist in his palm at Wang Yue seriously. At the same time, he placed his hand on the hilt of 7-gallon sword at his waist. Yes, senior brother, please give me your guidance as well. While Wang Yue spoke, she looked at Yin Zhozhou from head to toe. If I lose today, Master will definitely not forgive me when I go back. So, this passerby senior brother of 7 Gallons Mountain Villa can only let you down. Senior brother, please give me your guidance. While Wang Yue spoke, she pulled out 2 swords from behind her back. One of the wind and moon swords was white, and the other was aqua blue. They looked quite nice in the girl's hands. Yin Zhozhou looked away and straightened his expression. Damn it, I came here to compete in swords, so I can't be bewitched by the girl from Immerse sect. First Snow Plum Blossom Sword. Wang Yue held the 2 long swords and used her lightness skill to arrive in front of Yin Zhozhou at lightning speed. Yin Zhozhou widened his eyes and concentrated, waiting to see the power of Wang Yue's move. But at this moment, Wang Yue suddenly turned her body and jumped on top of Yin Zhozhou's head. The 2 swords and her body spun together and slashed down towards Yin Zhozhou. Azure Dragon pierces the sun. However, Yin Zhozhou did not panic. He raised his sword and directly stabbed upwards. Clang, clang, clang. But Wang Yue's 2 swords moved and bounced Yin Zhozhou's sword to the side. Double plum split snow. Wang Yue's body was still in the air as she charged towards Yin Zhozhou. Her 2 swords separated and swept towards Yin Zhozhou's vital points. Such a beautiful girl, but her sword technique was full of killing intent. She did not give Yin Zhozhou any leeway at all. Yin Zhozhou quickly used Flying Dragon Flurry to protect himself. Ding, ding, dang, 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 he continuously bounced off Wang Yue's sword. Too slow. Imperial concubine Zhou transmitted her voice to Yin Zhozhou. Remember, the essence of this sword technique lies in speed. Yin Zhozhou nodded and slid back a few meters. He stabilized his body and adjusted his condition. Chapter 1431. Yin Zhozhou didn't want to lose either. The reputation of the 7 Knights Villa and the dragon subduing sword rested on him. Wang Yue looked like a girl, but when she used the cold snow plum blossom sword, she was so powerful that she didn't look like a girl at all. Moreover, this sword technique of hers was mostly executed in the air. Combined with her Immerse's unique lightness skill, the white horse treading on snow, the sword technique's power increased a lot. Good sword technique. Long Bailey couldn't help but praise, as expected of the Immerse sect's true inheritance. This sword technique is so powerful in the air. This is the world's #1 sword technique. The dragon subduing sword is just too famous and doesn't deserve to be compared to the Immerse sect's sword technique. Yeah, it's a bit exaggerated to say that the dragon subduing sword is the world's #1 sword technique. Wang Zhini added, I've been watching for a long time, but I don't see anything special about it. Ba. It does look a little ordinary. Could it be that this sword technique can only be displayed in the hands of Villa Master Li? The old monk Yu Su was a martial arts fanatic. He didn't mean to ridicule Yin Zhozhou, but when he saw the sword technique Yin Zhozhou used, he couldn't help but have some doubts. Was this really a sword technique created by Li Fan? It didn't have any power at all. Yin Zhozhou felt a bit ashamed when he heard these comments. He had been a disciple for a few months, but his sword technique was far inferior to any of the 7 Knight sword guards. But he understood why Elder Zhou pointed him out. Elder Zhou wanted to use this opportunity to give him some advice. After all, he didn't have much actual combat experience. Usually, he only sparred with his fellow disciples in the villa. Everyone used the 7 Knights Villa's martial arts, so their horizons were naturally limited. Being able to spar with the Immerse disciples was obviously a good training opportunity. But if this went on, he would be a disgrace to the villa. But Imperial concubine Zhou wasn't anxious or impatient. She stood at the side and watched the two sparring, looking very confident. Elder Zhou's words lingered in his mind. Yes, the essence of the dragon subduing sword was speed. These 7 hero swordsmen could stab their swords into the enemy's throat in an instant. And his every move and stance was too rigid. Forget about those complicated moves, and let yourself be like a real dragon swimming in the sky. Yin Zhozhou regained his confidence, and his eyes lit up. Senior brother, watch my sword. Once again, Wang Yuer used her qinggong and leaped up, landing on top of Yin Zhozhou's head. At the same time, the two swords spun again and stabbed at Yin Zhozhou. Dragon Lock Divine Weapon. But this time, Yin Zhozhou was no longer afraid. He was talented to begin with, so he was just a little nervous at first. But at this moment, he was so focused that he had actually entered a mysterious state. In this world, there seemed to be only him and the sword in his hand. As for Wang Yuer, her figure seemed to have slowed down. Countless openings appeared on her body, waiting for him to resolve them. Dang dang. Yin Zhozhou stabbed out 2 swords in a row, beautifully hitting Wang Yuer's flaws, directly knocking away her 2 treasured swords. Ah! Wang Yuer cried out in alarm. She hurriedly retreated to the side and pulled out the sword that was stabbed into the ground. The surrounding spectators widened their eyes. What an exquisite sword technique. It actually knocked away the opponent's weapons. Yu Ruoying, who had a happy expression, once again turned ashen. Her sex disciples' treasured swords were knocked away. This was not an ordinary humiliation. Damn it, how did Yin Zhozhou's sword technique suddenly improve? It seemed like he had just comprehended the essence of the dragon subduing sword technique. Could it be that he pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger just to humiliate Immerse? No, his previous appearance was not an act. That meant, Imperial concubine Zhou was using this sword competition to intentionally guide her own disciple. Hateful. Such an important martial arts competition, yet Imperial concubine Zhou was actually using it to guide her disciple. Wasn't this 7 Knights villa a little too arrogant? Could it be that they were that confident in the dragon subduing sword technique? Azure Dragon Point Water. Without waiting for Wang Yuer to make another move, Yin Zhozhou had already quickly arrived in front of her. At the same time, his sword was directly aimed at her throat. It looked like it was going to pierce into this girl's throat and kill her. However, at this time, Imperial concubine Zhou suddenly appeared beside Wang Yuer. She stretched out her hand and rolled her sleeve on the treasured sword. Clang! This treasured sword was directly broken by Imperial concubine Zhou's sleeve. Good! The surrounding martial artists couldn't help but applaud. They couldn't help but applaud. This drifting cloud flying sleeve was too beautiful. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, you will know whether it is real or not. Just this move of Imperial concubine Zhou proved how powerful she was. Wang Yuer still didn't understand why a beauty suddenly appeared beside her. Also, what did she do just now? Why did the people beside her applaud? This disciple is guilty. Yin Zhozhou knelt down, making Wang Yuer even more confused. The little girl quickly jumped away. She didn't want to be kowtowed to by a man. Your sword technique is not good, and you almost killed someone. However, it was indeed unintentional. This concubine will punish you lightly. Go to the reflection building to reflect for half a year. Yes, this disciple accepts the punishment. Yin Zhozhou retreated. Wang Yuer still didn't understand. Many thanks to Senior Zhou for saving me. Yu Ruoying also cupped her hands and lowered her head to thank Imperial concubine Zhou. She thought hard for a long time, but she still couldn't understand. If they were at the same level of strength, how would she deal with that sword? That sword was really too fast. It was just a brat who had reached the point of perfection, and it already had such godly might. If it was little tyrant Li Fan who used this move, how terrifying would it be? The more she thought, the more frightened she became. Yu Ruoying didn't dare to think any further. Sect Master Yu, the way you teach disciples is too excessive. Imperial concubine Zhou was very close to Wang Yue earlier. When she noticed the abnormality on Wang Yue's body, she couldn't help but remind Yu Ruoying, you are so ruthless. Be careful that you are not nurturing a talent but an enemy. Yu Ruoying became silent. Amitabha. Good sword technique, truly good sword technique. Master Yu Su laughed loudly. He broke off a peach blossom tree branch from the side and excitedly walked over. Come, little benefactor, this old monk will exchange a few moves with you. The faces of the Shaolin monks darkened. All right, the abbot is too embarrassing. This, Master Yu Su, you are an enlightened monk. It is not suitable for you to compete with a junior in the pugilistic world, Xia Yan couldn't help but remind him. Amitabha, that is precisely the case. That is why this old monk will only use a tree branch. When Master Yu Su was young, he liked to read Jin Yong's novels. In them, it was always said that Shaolin had collected all the martial arts in the world. Although this was not the case in reality, he had this thought. He wanted to take a look at the martial arts in the world, learn them, and bring them into Shaolin, leaving behind a culture for the future generations. This could be considered a kind of public virtue. Every blade of grass and every tree in Seven Knights Villa is public property. Xia Yan's smile was a little awkward. There is a rule. If you break a tree branch, you will be fined 100. The old monk blinked his eyes. Amitabha. Why does this old monk feel like he has been cheated? Chapter 1432. Master Yu Su felt like he had been deceived, but he still had to abide by the rules when he was in someone else's place. Even if it was the Shaolin Temple, they could not casually destroy a blade of grass or a tree. Every tourist attraction had cultural value, so they could only obediently pay the bill. 100 yuan was not a lot. It was not a big deal for Shaolin Temple, which was a big business. But after a while, Master Yu Su did not blush. He still pulled in Zhou excitedly and said, Young benefactor, you must spar with me. Young benefactor, you must exchange blows with this old monk and let this old monk experience the essence of this dragon-subduing sword. Master Yu Su, you are a grandmaster after all. What kind of martial arts have you not seen? Long Bailey could not help but frown. They were all from the 6 major sects, and Shaolin and Wudong were the leaders. Wouldn't Master Yu Su be a disgrace to the 6 major sects? Even if he was a martial arts fanatic, he had to look at the occasion. To think that he was an eminent monk. Humph. This is just a mere dragon-subduing sword. It's just a little faster. Is it worth it for you to make such a big fuss? You haven't seen the essence of this sword technique. Master Yu Su was straightforward, and his words angered Long Bailey half to death. Come, young benefactor, don't stand on ceremony. Stab me with all your strength. Master Yu Su's excited expression made everyone feel helpless. With Master Yu Su's strength, it's too much to let In Zhou compete with you. Xia Ho was the smart one. She quickly said, how about this? The second seat disciple, Jiang Yi, should be back tonight. Her dragon-subduing sword is much smarter than In Zhou's. Master, please don't be impatient. Come to our cafeteria for dinner, and Jiang Yi will be back soon. Amitabha. Very good. Master Yusu agreed immediately, but Wu Yangzi, who was standing beside him, sneered. What a joke. Master Yusu is the Shaolin Temple's abbot. You want to compete with him with a second-seat disciple. And you say it so casually. That's right. Isn't it too presumptuous? What a bunch of people who don't know the rules. The crowd began to discuss and mock the Seven Knights Villa. It's okay. Master Yusu waved his hand. Buddha says that all living beings are equal. This old monk is the abbot, but also not the abbot. Since this old monk doesn't mind, why do you have to be so serious? Master Yushu's dharma is profound. I'm impressed. Xia Ho could not help but put her palms together and bowed to the jade void. Master Yusu's dharma is naturally profound. A voice came from behind them. Everyone turned around and saw a group of martial arts elites in black and white uniforms walking in from the door. The person in the lead was none other than Jiang Feng. Beside him, Shui Wuxin was nowhere to be seen. However, the current Jiang Feng no longer needed Shui Wuxin's help. He already possessed the strength to transcend the heavens and had become an overlord. So it's the guests from the royal army. Xia Ho turned around and saluted Jiang Feng. However, our Manor Lord's decision to wash his hands of corruption shouldn't be against the law, right? Although the ban on martial arts was abolished, there was still a need for law enforcers in the martial arts world. The embroidered uniform guards had already been crippled, leaving only the imperial guards that could be used. As a member of the government, Jiang Feng naturally retained his position. In this way, his control over Dragon God number 1 would be well deserved. Jiang Feng. The imperial guards. Everyone looked at him with disdain. To them, Jiang Feng was an undeniable enemy. It was because of him that the martial arts world had become like this. However, they could only swallow their anger. Because they were only martial artists, how could they fight against the government? If the government could destroy them once, it could naturally destroy them twice. Even if these experts could run and escape, could their foundations escape? Wudong was located on Mount Wudong at the mouth of the Dan River in Shuyuan, Hubei. Shaolin was located on Mount Song at Mount Shaoshi in Dengfeng County, Hunan. Amei was located on Mount Amei in Maishan County, Jiazhou, Sichuan. Qingqing was also in Sichuan, but it was located on Mount Qingqing in Dujianjian. Kunlun and Kongtong were located on Mount Kunlun in Qinghai and Kongtong in Pingliang, Gansu respectively. These were the foundations left behind by their ancestors. If even these foundations were gone, then their so-called sects would naturally only exist in name. Some small sects could hide in the mountains, but they could not. These were the 6 great sections. They had the prestige of the 6 great sects, and they also had the responsibility of the 6 great sections. It's quite lively today. Jiang Feng held a folding fan in his hand, looking very cool. He waved his folding fan and said with a smile, "In the past, I have only seen such a grand occasion in the martial arts world convention. I did not expect that my brotherly fan's washing of the Golden Basin Assembly could also attract so many heroes of the martial arts world. Master Jiang is too polite." Xia Ho said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "All of this is thanks to Master Jiang. Without Master Jiang's help, my villa master would not have a good impression of the 6 major sections. You are too polite. Everyone is just doing something for the martial arts world, it's just that the methods are different." Jiang Feng said with a smile, "You may hate me for being ruthless. But after a few years, when you look back, you will think that I, Jiang Feng, did a good job." Bah! Shameless bastard! What a load of nonsense! These words caused a group of people to be disgusted. Only Master Yusu put his palms together and murmured, "Amitabha." Almsgiver Jiang did not hesitate to sacrifice himself to become an Azura in order to resolve the hostility and conflicts in the martial arts world. This realm is indeed admirable. Master Yu Su is indeed an eminent monk. Jiang Feng's expression was somewhat moved. Jiang Feng, what are you doing here today? Long Bailey looked at Jiang Feng strangely. Are you really here to monitor us? Don't worry, everyone. I am also here to participate in my sworn brother's washing of the Golden Basin Assembly. Jiang Feng chuckled. Could it be that you're all afraid of me? I do things according to the rules. As long as you do not break the law, why would I provoke you, right? Although they did not welcome Jiang Feng, since he was here, he was a guest. The villa could only allocate some guest rooms for them to stay. Xia Ho led everyone to the dining hall and had dinner in the villa. There were more than 100 tables in the dining hall, which was full of martial arts world people. The people of the Immerse sect sat around a table, which was full of food. But Wang Yuer lowered her head and did not dare to eat. She secretly looked at her master's expression. None of the senior sisters around her came to persuade her. They all wanted Wang Yuer to offend the sect leader. Would they speak up for Wang Yuer when they finally had the chance? Absolutely not. Yuer, let's eat. Yu Ruoying suddenly said. Oh, Wang Yuer raised her head in a hurry. She suddenly felt that it was impolite to just say one word, so she quickly added, Yes, Master. Are you angry with Master? Yu Ruoying suddenly asked, contrary to her usual behavior. Chapter 1433. Wang Yue's heart was somewhat flustered. Why would Master ask like this? Master. I obviously didn't do a good job, how can I be angry at Master? It's good that Master is not angry at me. Yue, even if you don't say it, I understand. You must be thinking in your heart. My strength is not good, why did Master let me go up, right? Yu Ruoying looked at Wang Yue's eyes. For the first time, there was some gentleness in her eyes. I don't have such thoughts. Wang Yue lowered her head, not daring to look at Yu Ruoying's eyes. But her hands tightly grasped the corner of her clothes, biting her lips. Don't worry, Master will not scold you today. Yu Ruoying slowly said, Master used to think that as long as there is a bit more pressure, you can quickly grow up. But Master reflected today, it seems that I used the wrong method. As long as you are willing to open your heart to Master, tell Master what's in your heart, how about it? Master. I. Wang Yue seemed to be a bit excited. Master was actually willing to tell her heart. Come, tell your Master about it. Master. Master treats disciple very well. Wang Yue's eyes were red, she began to pour out her heart. But Master, when Master punishes disciple, it's really scary. Disciple, sometimes disciple will what? Talk to Master properly. Yu Ruoying gently pulled Wang Yue's small hand. Will hate Master a little, afraid Master. Bastard. Yu Ruoying slammed the table. Fortunately, there were many people in the dining hall, no one paid attention to this side. But Wang Yue and the others were sitting close, hearing clearly, they were scared to the point of trembling. Especially Wang Yue, a pretty little girl, she was so scared that she almost peed. She felt a soreness below, under Yu Ruoying's gaze, her whole body shivered. You ingrate, Master raised you for so many years in vain. Yu Ruoying was angry, sure enough, I raised an enemy. Master was just testing you a little, and you already revealed your wild ambition. Master, disciple knows her mistake. Wang Yue knelt down, both hands on the ground, not daring to look at her master. Imperial concubine Zhou saw this scene from afar, she could not help but shake her head. That was not what she meant when she reminded you Ruoying. She saw that there were some bruises on Wang Yue's body. It was obvious that she had been beaten severely. He had always heard that Immerse sect was very strict when it came to disciplining their disciples. They even liked to use corporal punishment. How could he rely on such methods to groom his disciples? As for imperial concubine Zhou, her methods were even more ruthless. But she was training her own slaves, not her disciples. As for the slaves, they would naturally be killed after they were used, but not the disciples. If that was the case, in the end, if it wasn't an enemy, what else could it be? Although she was by Li Fan's side, imperial concubine Zhou was a decisive person. She saw fear in the eyes of Wang Yue and the other Immerse disciples. But the more afraid they were, the fiercer the backlash would be in the future. With Immerse sect's rules, even if Jiang Feng did not stir up trouble, they might not be able to last for long. Jianghu, Wulin, in fact, had been slowly declining. She looked at the trembling Wang Yue who was constantly being reprimanded and turned her head to the side. This was the matter of their own sect, she should not interfere. Wang Yue, you have been in my sect for 2 years. I saw that you were talented, so I made an exception and accepted you as my last disciple. But you have always been playing around and did not make progress. I had no choice but to use strict methods to supervise you. Not only did you not thank me, but you also hate me. You really have the ambition of a wolf, the ambition of a wolf. Yu Ruoying sighed again and again. Master, we can't let this kind of person live. A female disciple next to her took the opportunity to say, I think it's better to cripple her martial arts and expel her from the sect. Hearing this, Wang Yue became even more afraid. Her family was originally good, but a few years ago, there was a big change. Her father lost all his money gambling, and in the end, he jumped off a building to commit suicide, leaving the two of them behind. But her family owed a lot of gambling debts. To pay off the debts, her mother worked several part-time jobs. In the end, she became ill from overwork and died. Wang Yue was kicked around a few relatives' houses like a ball. Later, she heard that Mount Immerse was accepting female disciples, so she borrowed some money and ran all the way to Mount Immerse. Yu Ruoying was originally closed, but seeing that Wang Yue was talented, she was happy and made an exception to accept her as her last disciple. If her martial arts were crippled and she was expelled from the sect, Wang Yue would really be finished. Thinking of this, her tears burst out like a dam, flowing out uncontrollably. But she was too afraid, so afraid that she did not even dare to open her mouth to beg. Shut up! Yu Ruoying scolded, scaring the female disciple into lowering her head. Although Wang Yue's wild nature is hard to tame, it is also because she is young and lacks discipline. Wang Yue, today is also an opportunity for you to see your own weakness and lack of virtue. You should also understand how outrageous your mistake is, right? Yes. Little disciple knows her mistake, Wang Yue cried uncontrollably. It's good that you know your mistake. When we return, Master will discipline you even more severely. Are you willing? Yes. Disciple is willing, then do you know Master's good intentions? Little disciple knows. Master. Master loves disciple. That's why you hit disciple, stupid. That's not hitting, that's discipline. Yu Ruoying said angrily, as the saying goes, jade that is not cut will not be useful. Do you understand this logic? Don't blame Master, our Immerse has been like this for generations. Women are fragile, if they do not train a heart of stone, they will be cheated by men sooner or later. Master hits you, scolds you, but it is really for your own good. Do you know why Master passed clear wind and bright moon to you? Little disciple doesn't know, silly girl. I want to pass down the sect to you." As soon as these words came out, the surrounding female disciples were shocked. Each of their faces changed. It was really as ugly as it could be. "Now that things have come to this, Master will not hide it from you." Heartwarming switched to using voice transmission and said to the 6 disciples in front of the table, "Master is suffering from cancer. I don't think I will live for long." As soon as the disciples heard, their eyes all turned red, but Heartwarming scolded again. "Hold back your tears. This is someone else's place. You are not allowed to cry. We, the disciples of Immerse, will definitely not cry in front of outsiders." Once she scolded them, the disciples could only hold back their tears. "Immerse sect is a big sect, but when it came to my generation, your martial uncles and martial aunts were all unlucky, and they passed away a long time ago. We can't pass the position of sect leader to Grandmaster and the others, right? I told you not to cry, hold it back. The reason why I told you all this in such a hurry is because I have a secret that I must tell you." Chapter 1434. Heartwarming sat in front of the table and announced that she had cancer with a calm expression. However, she did not let her disciples be sad. Instead, she slowly announced something else. Immerse's secret. The female disciples guessed. They had been in the sect for so many years, but why had they never heard of any secret? At that moment, they had forgotten that their sect leader was suffering from cancer. Only Wang Yue was still sad about it. She did not care about the secret. However, her master's health was the most important thing. Immerse sect has always been hiding a shocking secret that only the sect leader will pass down from generation to generation. But now that Immerse is in danger, I will no longer adhere to this rule. I will tell you. Master, your body, just as Wang Yue spoke, her master glared at her. Shut up and listen to me. Heartwarming's expression turned serious and she continued, this matter is very important. It concerns my life. Wang Yue endured the pain in her heart and continued to listen to Heartwarming. Right now, the martial arts world has been talking about the hero's token. Do you know about it? The disciples nodded. The hero's token has a true immortal incantation hidden in it. However, everyone does not know that Immerse actually has a meridian chart that can assist in the cultivation of this immortal technique. If a normal person practices this incantation, they can cleanse their bones and marrow and begin to cultivate qi. However, if they practice it according to the meridian chart, they can understand the true realm of the first realm. Then, they can get rid of all diseases and increase their lifespan by 100 years. Heartwarming's eyes brightened. In other words, as long as I can get the hero's token and the incantation, I can practice the true immortal incantation and enter the qi refining realm. At that time, my disease will naturally be cured. As Heartwarming spoke, she looked in the direction of the first seat. However, the hero's token is currently in Li Fan's hands. He is known as the Little Tyrant. He is ruthless and cruel. Even if I want the hero's token, I am afraid that he will not give it to me. Besides, there are many experts in the Seven Knights Villa. With Immerse's strength, even if we want to snatch it, we are not their opponents. Master, you mean, one of the female disciples was more quick-witted. When she saw her master's expression, she instantly understood something. Yes, I need a disciple to infiltrate the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa and help me obtain the hero's token's incantation. As Heartwarming spoke, her gaze fell on Wang Yue. Her gaze was filled with a profound meaning. Master reprimanded you just now not only to discipline you, but also to put on a show for the people of the Seven Knights Villa. Tell me, do you hate Master? I don't hate. Doesn't hate, that's right. Although you're a bit naughty and mischievous, I've raised you up. As a member of a righteous sect, you should be filial to me like a parent. Now that they think that you've been wronged, you can take this opportunity to enter the Seven Heroes' villa and follow them to the sea. Wang Yuer's eyes opened wide. She had never imagined that her master would actually give her such a task. Little Overlord Li Fan, this person, is rumored to be lustful towards women. Now that I've arrived at this manor house, from what I've seen and heard, this place is filled with pleasure in women. I reckon that what Li Fan said about being lecherous should be true. Master. You want me to? The expression on Wang Yuer's charming face changed slightly. Yes, you can stay here with peace of mind. Master's life is now in your hands. Wang Yuer became silent, but Yu Ruoying did not give her a chance to object. The woman fiercely slammed the table, making a loud bang. This time, the sound was so loud that everyone present heard it. Everyone stopped eating and drinking and looked at the Immerse sect leader, not knowing what she wanted to do. Don't cry, you deceiving ancestor-destroying thing. Yu Ruoying pointed at her own disciple's nose and scolded, from today onwards, you are no longer my Immerse disciple. Everyone was in an uproar. My goodness, this Immerse sect leader was too competitive. Her disciple lost in a sword duel, and she was going to kick her out of the mountain. Master, Wang Yuer cried so hard that her voice could not be heard. The senior sisters at the side all muttered in their hearts, this little girl's acting is really good. But a few of them knew that Wang Yuer was not acting, but really wanted to cry. She had stayed in Immerse for a long time, and she had feelings for it. Although Master liked to scold and beat her for so long, Yu Ruoying was indeed her backbone. But at this moment, she had to leave Immerse and go to another unfamiliar place. How could she not be sad? Furthermore, Master was seriously ill. If she could not steal the true immortal arts, Master would not be able to be saved. And little Overlord Li Fan was lustful by nature. She might fall into his evil hands and stain her innocence. Why was her life so bitter? The heavens were too unfair to her. Sect leader Yu, she only lost once. There is no need to expel her from the sect, right? Imperial concubine Zhou lightly sighed, walked forward, and asked. Senior, this is only my Immerse family matter. Yu Ruoying cupped her hands and said. Fine, then this consort will follow your wishes and accept her. Imperial concubine Zhou said in a low voice, causing Yu Ruoying's body to tremble. From today onwards, you are a disciple of my villa. Like Yin Zhozhou, you are also a first-generation disciple. Later, let me think about what kind of martial arts to teach you. Imperial concubine Zhou said, took Wang Yuer and walked to the side. Yu Ruoying sat there blankly, as if her brain was a bit broken. I know that you were sent by sect leader Yu to steal the true immortal arts. After pulling Wang Yuer to her side, Imperial concubine Zhou did not hide anything and transmitted her voice to the little girl, causing Wang Yuer's eyes to be filled with fear. But don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Your talent is not bad, I admire it very much. If possible, I want to personally teach you martial arts. Ah! Wang Yuer was immediately stunned. Learn martial arts from the undead evil Buddha. Become the disciple of Imperial concubine Zhou. This was simply the dream of every martial grandmaster. The little girl's eyes rolled around, unable to make up her mind. Alright, from now on, you will follow me. Imperial concubine Zhou suddenly laughed, stunning everyone. You should be glad. If it was in the past, that Yu Ruoying's methods were simply child's play compared to mine. Wang Yuer did not speak, her mind was particularly chaotic, she could only sit there and cry silently. Imperial concubine Zhou also did not force her, waiting for her to figure it out herself. Everyone's dinner was also messy, many heroes gathered together, toasting each other, trying to make friends with each other. However, no one came to Jiang Feng's side. he just sat there with a few experts of the Imperial Army, quietly eating. Jiang Feng was restless. He suddenly put down his chopsticks and loudly asked. Elder Xia, my sworn brotherly fan, why doesn't he come out to eat with everyone? Chapter 1435. Jiang Feng's sudden words silenced the crowd again. Everyone looked at Jiang Feng, not knowing what he was going to do. Master Jiang, the villa master, is currently recuperating in seclusion. Xia Ho said again, Master Jiang, don't you already know? Why bother asking? Recuperating also requires eating. Jiang Feng raised the wine cup in his hand and said with a smile, how can you recuperate on an empty stomach? Why don't you come out? There's good wine and good meat here. After eating, you can reminisce about the old days with me, your big brother. How about that? Master Jiang, aren't you making things difficult for me? At this time, a familiar voice sounded from the side. Everyone turned to look and saw a beautiful young lady slowly walking over from the side. She had a ponytail and wore a light yellow windbreaker. Her slender legs were wearing a pair of snow-white sneakers. The young lady's appearance was somewhat similar to Jiang Feng. Both of them were beautiful and handsome, born with good genes. However, the difference was that the young lady's jade-like face was filled with killing intent, while Jiang Feng's smile was filled with daggers. Second senior sister, you're back. Ah, senior sister, you seem to be more mature than before. The people from the Seven Heroes Villa enthusiastically surrounded her. As the second seat disciple, Jiang Yi was like an idol in their eyes. Lu Xiaohu and Jiang Yi had gone down the mountain to train, causing the disciples to miss them very much. Senior sister. You're finally back. Yin Zhozhou excitedly greeted her, my dragon-subduing sword has improved. Can you teach me a few more moves? Everyone looked at Yin Zhozhou with jealousy. The dragon-subduing sword was one of the 9 great absolute arts of the villa. It was a high-grade external art that ordinary disciples could not come into contact with. Even if one was one of the 7 heroes' sword guardians, they could only learn 3 of the moves. However, it was not that the disciples could not learn the 9 great absolute arts, but high-grade martial arts had to be paired with high-grade internal energy. Most of these disciples had not even reached the 9th level of the 7 heroes' force, so how could they come into contact with true high-grade martial arts? Martial arts was a gradual process that required time to slowly develop. However, for these young disciples, who would not want to learn a few powerful high-grade external arts, Yin Zhozhou learned 5 moves of the dragon-subduing sword, causing the other disciples to be extremely envious. Greedy. 5 moves are enough for you to learn. Jiang Yi held on to the extraordinary sword and said straightforwardly, every move of the dragon-subduing sword has hundreds of variations. Even I have only comprehended the true essence of one move. Senior sister is right, Yin Zhozhou lowered his head in regret. He was so pleased with himself just now that he forgot himself. Senior sister wouldn't hate him because of this, right? Everyone in the villa knew that senior sister was very proud, and she couldn't tolerate any dirt in her eyes. Your temperament is very similar to your eldest senior brother. Jiang Yi smiled, allowing Yin Zhozhou to heave a sigh of relief. Is she Jiang Yi? Li Fan's second disciple? Wang Yuer sat next to imperial concubine Zhou. Seeing this little sister who seemed to be a few years younger than her, she couldn't help but compare in her heart. He was clearly younger than her, but his aura seemed to be much stronger than hers. Just how did the little tyrant, Li Fan, raise his own disciple? Furthermore, this girl. Could it be that she had already become Li Fan's exclusive property? Suddenly thinking of her tragic future, Wang Yue wanted to cry again. Why? Why was her fate so tragic? Imperial concubine Zhou most likely kept her by her side to torture her day and night. There was no hope for her future. Younger sister. Jiang Feng's only weakness was his younger sister. Seeing Jiang Yi appear, Jiang Feng's expression immediately stiffened. Amitabha. Yu Su was discussing Buddhism and Taoism with Wu Jizi when he saw Jiang Yi walking in. His eyes lit up. Benefactor Jiang, you've made this old monk wait for a long time. Monk Yu Su excitedly went to greet her, giving Jiang Yi a fright. What was going on? Why did a monk suddenly appear? Benefactor Jiang, I heard that your dragon-subduing sword is pretty good, and you've received Villa Master Li's teachings. Would you like to spar with this old monk? The monk went straight to the point and asked, causing Jiang Yi to feel a little embarrassed. This monk, why did he want to spar with someone the moment they met? It was fine if it was just a spar, but how could he say that he had received Master's teachings? Master's martial arts were broad and profound, and he was still far from it. I say, Abbot Yu Su. Wu Yangzi sat at the side with his hands in his sleeves and chuckled, you're a grandmaster, why are you competing with a little girl? What kind of strength can a little girl have? Jiang Yi, the opponent is Master Yu Su, the abbot of Shaolin Temple. Since it was related to his younger sister, Jiang Feng hurriedly said, don't be impulsive. Quickly step back and let your master fight with him. Lord Zhang's words do make sense. Wu Yangzi's smile made Jiang Yi feel a little nauseous. Was this monk and Taoist priest here to participate in the Golden Basin washing ceremony or to exorcise demons? I'm Jiang Yi, the second-seat disciple of the Seven Knights Villa. Jiang Yi placed his hand on the extraordinary sword, his eyes bright and piercing. The Seven Knights Villa is never afraid of any challenge. Amitabha, it's not a challenge, it's just a spar. Master Yu Su put his palms together and explained. Bah! Long Bailey spat at the side, you're too shameless. You think you're qualified to spar with Master Yu Su? Who's this? Jiang Yi pointed at Long Bailey and asked Xia Ho, why didn't I see him when we were protecting the dragon god of China? What kind of demon is he? Long Bailey's face turned red and he shouted, you ignorant little girl, I'm the sect master of Kong Tong's sect. I'm Long Bailey. Oh, so you're here to thank my master. Jiang Yi was definitely not any worse than her brother when it came to scheming. The little girl looked at Long Bailey with a serious face and asked, then I really have to thank you. Master mentioned to me that the people of Kong Tong's sect are all righteous sects, so you must be someone who knows how to repay kindness, right? Long Bailey was quite embarrassed and didn't know how to reply. The little girl's words actually made him speechless. If he were to say anything more, he would really have to bear the name of an ungrateful person. Little girl, you have a sharp tongue. Wu Yangzi looked at Jiang Yi with a smile, but everyone is doing this for your own good, lest you lose later and embarrass the Seven Knights Villa. Thank you for your concern, Taoist. Jiang Yi looked at him without a trace of fear in her eyes. Although I'm not talented, I only have the strength of the Great Perfection Realm. But there are no cowards in the Seven Knights Villa. Not to mention the Great Perfection Realm, even if you're at the Great Perfection Realm, I dare to fight you. Her words had a double meaning, and the people present were discussing it. This little girl is only 14 or 15 years old, right? She's already at the Great Perfection Realm. Isn't the disciple of the Seven Knights Villa a bit too terrifying? Is she bragging? Chapter 1436. On the other hand, Jiang Ye's words seemed to be intentionally or unintentionally mocking Long Bailey. Previously, when they were banned from fighting and took elixirs, their cultivation returned to the point of perfection and could no longer improve. But because of this, they all hid themselves and hid their heads and tails. Jiang Ye's mockery made Long Bailey feel embarrassed, but he did not know what to say. This little girl had a sharp tongue. It was not appropriate to quarrel with her, and it was beneath his dignity. Wu Yangzi, what are you talking about? If they want to fight, let them fight. Long Bailey could only shout, life and death are decreed by fate. Even if there is an accident, it is self-inflicted. Just as Long Bailey finished speaking, he suddenly felt a chill behind him. He subconsciously turned around and found Jiang Feng sitting there, looking at him with a gloomy smile. Long Bailey's heart immediately became perturbed. What the fuck, why is the commander of the royal army looking at me like this? Could it be that he is plotting against me? Suddenly, he remembered that Jiang Yi was Jiang Feng's sister. Although his words were straightforward, it seemed that he had offended Jiang Feng. Damn it, I am the sect leader of the 6 major sects. Why am I afraid of these Jianghu rookies? Amitba, it is only a martial arts competition, not a competition of internal strength. As a martial arts fanatic, Master Yu Su naturally had the awareness of a martial arts fanatic. He put his palms together and proposed a condition that was beneficial to Jiang Yi. Master Yu Su, you don't have to be so polite. You are a grandmaster, and this strength is also obtained from your bitter cultivation. Jiang Yi directly rejected the master's good intentions. Since it is a martial arts competition, we are both internal and external cultivators. Why can't we use our internal strength? Ha! Wu Yangzi smiled contemptuously. Master is doing this for your own good, but you actually overestimate yourself. Do you want to die? Jiang Yi, don't mess around. Jiang Feng started to worry as well. His concern caused his mind to be in a mess. Don't look down on the disciples of our 7 Knights Villa. Jiang Yi said proudly, Master Yu Su, please don't be lenient. As a martial artist, I will have a real martial arts competition with you. Amitba, that's fine too. Master Yu Su nodded, then, young benefactor, please enlighten me. The 2 of you, this place is small. Grandmasters, please move out. Let's compete outside. Xia Ho said hurriedly. Good, good, good. Little benefactor, please. Master, please. The 2 of them cupped their fists and walked out together. Everyone looked at Jiang Yi's petite back and muttered in their hearts. Jiang Yi was so young, but his aura didn't belong to a grandmaster like Yu Su. Her future strength was probably limitless, but this glory was in the future, not now. The current Jiang Yi was still young, still very inexperienced. The surrounding Jianghu people also followed. No matter what, they had to watch the show first. Very soon, the outside was surrounded by people, all of them watching the show. Everyone was rejoicing in Jiang Yi's misfortune. None of them thought that Jiang Yi could win. Not to mention reaching the peak, even a grandmaster would not be a match for a grandmaster. What kind of person was the grandmaster? His 1,000 Buddha palms had swept through the Wulin world for many years. Very few people could match him. Not to mention Jiang Yi, even the other experts from the 6 major sects, including Long Bailey, would not be able to win against the 1,000 Buddha palms. Does your 7 Knights Villa have any elixirs? Wu Yangzi asked Xia Ho with a smile. When this little girl is injured, use it quickly, lest you cripple a future Jianghu expert. Thank you for the reminder, Daoist. Xia Ho replied, it's just that I didn't expect the Daoist of Mount Wudong to be so nosy. Hee, this humble Daoist is indeed a bit meddlesome, but this humble Daoist is doing this out of kindness. Then, I really have to thank Daoist for your kindness. Xia Ho was also very clever. She cupped her fists towards Wu Yangzi and said, my 7 chivalry villa will remember this kindness and repay it in the future. Wu Yangzi's eyebrows twitched slightly. Xia Ho's words were a threat. Well said, well said. However, he could only cup his fists, unable to say anything else. Jiang Feng stood at the side, his eyes filled with concern. He secretly activated his Azure Chi. If there was no other choice, he would save his sister. That bastardly fan actually let Jiang Yi take such a risk. If Jiang Yi is in any danger, I will not let him go. Ba. Master Yu Su put his palms together and bowed to Jiang Yi. Young benefactor, please make your move first. You must let this old monk see this dragon-subduing sword. Before the fight, I have a few words to ask Master Yu Su. Jiang Yi suddenly asked as he stood 5 or 6 meters away from Yu Su. Ba, young benefactor, please ask away. Yu Su nodded. Why is Master so obsessed with this dragon-subduing sword? Jiang Yi asked directly. When I was wandering the Jianghu, I heard of Master's name. I know that you are famous in the Jianghu for your 1,000 Buddha palm. However, you said that if you practice Arhat fist to perfection, how powerful would it be? Ba, this Arhat fist was created by Patriarch Bodhidharma. Every punch has a myriad of changes. It seems simple, but it is actually broad and profound. If you practice Arhat fist to perfection, I'm afraid there are few in the Jianghu who can match you. That's it. Jiang Yi nodded. I went to train myself and understood a few things. In my opinion, there is no such thing as the strongest martial arts, only the strongest martial artists. If one really painstakingly studies a martial art, even if it is an entry-level Shaolin martial art, how can it not be a supreme art? Back then, my master only practiced the 5 animal frolics, but he developed the 5 animal frolics into a famous 7-gallon fists. Later, with this as the foundation, my master created the 9 dragons art, creating 9 supreme arts. This dragon-subduing sword is only one of his arts. But in the end, the origin of my master's martial art is just an ordinary 5 animal frolics. Ba. Young benefactor, you are right. This old monk is too obsessed. Master Yu Su put his palms together and looked ashamed. You little girl, can you fight or not? Stop talking so much. A self-created sword art is not a supreme art, a person from the Kongtong sect shouted. Before he could finish his words, Jiang Yi suddenly appeared in front of him. At the same time, the extraordinary sword in her hand was pointed at his throat. Even if you are guests, I will not allow you to insult the martial arts of my villa. Jiang Ye's voice was cold and murderous, making the Kongtong sect disciples' forehead drip with cold sweat. Little girl, don't be presumptuous. Long Bailey was furious. He directly slapped the top of Jiang Ye's head. Jiang Feng's face was filled with killing intent. He was about to attack. But Jiang Yi had already moved. She pointed her long sword at Long Bailey's palm. Chapter 1437. Long Bailey smiled coldly. His palm was wrapped in true qi. Even if this girl's sword was an iron blade, it would still be smashed by his iron palm. This girl was really courting death, so he would fulfill her wish. Long Bailey was originally feeling proud, but with a poochie sound, his palm was actually pierced by the sword. Long Bailey screamed in pain, retracted his palm, and looked at the girl in front of him in shock. Sect leader Long, why did you do this? Jiang Yi smiled, aren't you looking down on my 7 Knights Villa's internal energy? We practice primordial qi, which is a level higher than true qi. Your protective upstanding qi is like paper under my sword infused with inner force. Long Bailey sealed the qi and blood in his palm. He was shocked and angry as he stared at Jiang Yi in front of him. Okay, the troublemaker is gone. Master Yu Su, let's compete. Jiang Yi returned to Master Yu Su and said. Everyone looked at Jiang Yi's back with some reverence. However, although she injured Long Bailey, everyone muttered in their hearts that she had a high-level internal energy. If she really fought with sect leader Long, he would not lose to her. Ba. Young benefactor's murderous aura is too heavy. If this goes on for too long, it will be detrimental to your physical and mental cultivation. You can cultivate your mind by chanting scriptures. Forget about chanting scriptures, I don't have that talent. Jiang Yi shrugged, let's compete with swords. Master, this dragon-subduing sword has a total of 12 moves. It was created by my master. This disciple is not talented and has only learned 20% to 30%. Master, please advise me. Amitba, please. Master Yusu was fully focused. He did not underestimate Jiang Yi. Although this little girl was young, she gave off an aggressive vibe. He had long heard that Li Fan had two treasured disciples, a man and a woman. The man was called Lu Xiaohu and the woman was called Jiang Yi. Both of them were extremely talented and had made a name for themselves in the Jianghu during this period of time. However, between the two of them, senior brother Lu Xiaohu was obviously more high profile. He traveled thousands of miles and actually found the pugilistic world's largest assassin organization, Yama Palace. This young man single-handedly crippled the martial arts of all the experts from King of Hell's palace, from the white plate to the bronze plate. There was even a super assassin from the red brand, but he could only fight Lu Xiaohu to a draw and watch Lu Xiaohu leave. As for Jiang Yi, when she heard that Long Fangyu had insulted the Seven Heroes Villa, she simply ran to the Seven Heroes Villa's headquarters, took advantage of the night, drew a bastard on Long Fangyu's face, and left. The West Howling Wind headquarters was heavily guarded, but Jiang Yi was able to come and go as he pleased as if he was walking through his own city gate. It was a great embarrassment to their alliance master. Now that Jiang Yi had defeated Long Bailey with a single sword strike, his reputation would probably be even greater in the future. At such a young age, he had already made such a name for himself. He was even more impressive than Li Fan and Muronging back then. Young benefactor, be careful of this old monk's 1000 Buddha palm. As Master Yusu spoke, he had already used the unique lightness skill of Shaolin Temple. He crossed the river on a reed and instantly appeared in front of River Yi. A martial arts fanatic was indeed a martial arts fanatic. Once it was time for a fight, he would be extremely serious. Master Yusu had a solemn expression on his face as he released a palm strike towards River Yi. Countless palm shadows appeared in the air. They were all formed by Master Yusu's palm wind. 1000 Buddha palm, it was as if there were 1000 Buddhas attacking at the same time. If an ordinary expert saw this move, they would probably not know how to deal with it. However, River Yi was different. Her expression did not change as she stood there. She seemed to casually stab with the sword in her hand. White Dragon Steel's heart. River Yi did not care about the palm shadows around her at all. She only stabbed her sword towards Master Yusu's heart. The layers of palm shadows could not trap River Yi's sword. Jiang Yi broke through the palm wind and instantly arrived in front of Master Yusu's heart. The dragon-subduing sword did not retreat, it only attacked. This sword technique focused on speed and attack. Attack was the best defense. Master Yusu could not help but change his expression. He struck out 3 palms in a row. The first palm struck away River Yi's sword. Then, he struck out with both palms and rushed towards River Yi again. River Yi used the White Dragon Steel's heart again and ignored Master Yusu's palms. In the eyes of ordinary experts, this kind of method was a suicidal fighting style. However, in the eyes of the top experts, it was a brilliant move. River Yi's sword was extremely fast. Even Master Yusu's palm wind was not as fast as her sword. Before she was hit, her sword would definitely pierce through Master Yusu's heart. Moreover, she cultivated the 7 Knights Villa's vitality, which was a level higher than true Qi. Master Yusu's protective energy shield was useless against her sword. In comparison, Master Yusu's hands and feet were naturally tied. He could only retreat again while slapping away River Ye's sword at the same time. Humph. Long Bailey could not help but scold, "Silly girl, you are just relying on your high level of inner strength." Sect Leader Long, don't use these words to mock me. River Yi smiled, "My villain's inner strength is exquisite. Do you think I need to take care of you weaklings? Moreover, I have already agreed with Master Yusu that in the competition, we will use our inner strength. There is no need to hold back." This group of experts' faces turned cold. Good heavens, everyone present instantly became the weaklings. However, the inner strength that she cultivated was indeed stronger. Her vitality was a level higher than true qi. This was an indisputable fact. In the martial arts world, the strong were respected. Although they could not accept it, this group of people could only grit their teeth and swallow it. "Amitabha, you are right." Master Yusu nodded, "This old monk has 60 years of inner strength. Young benefactor's cultivation of vitality is much fairer. Master is still open-minded. Let us continue." River Yi carried the black extraordinary sword. Although she was young, she was full of heroic spirit. This made Wang Yue surprised. They were both girls, but why was she so much stronger than her? "You don't have to be jealous." Imperial concubine Zhou seemed to see through her disciple's thoughts and said, "The hardships that River Yi has suffered are several times more than yours, dozens of times more. With such hardships, she has the strength that she has today. How could she suffer more than her?" Wang Yue subconsciously did not believe it. Amitabha. Golden light suppression. Master Yusu's 1000 Buddha palm originally relied on inner strength. He constantly moved around River Yi, looking for an opportunity to suddenly slap down with his palm. A huge gust of wind from the palm directly pressed down. The power of this palm was not weak. Even River Ye's body was sealed in it. In this close combat, Master Yusu was really helpless against this hedgehog, River Yi. Therefore, he chose to distance himself and use 1000 Buddha palm to release his inner strength to attack River Yi. However, River Yi faintly smiled. She stood there and tied a chain hanging from her waist to the hilt of her sword. River Yi let go of the sword and threw it out. However, she grabbed the chain and used the chain to transmit her inner energy to control the sword. Chapter 1438. Jiang Yi was too young, and her understanding of inner force was not as deep as Li Fan's. Thus, it was still difficult for her to use her inner force to control the sword. However, Jiang Yi thought of a trick. She used a chain to connect it to the extraordinary sword. The chain was more than 3 meters long. After throwing it out, she controlled it with her inner force, and its power was not any weaker than the imperial sword. When Jiang Yi went out to train, she had perfected this long-range swordsmanship to the point of perfection. When Yusu used his palm to restrict her body, Jiang Yi used this move to use the white dragon steals the heart again, forcing Master Yusu to dodge. Good. Master Yusu's eyes lit up. I didn't expect a young girl to have practiced this swordsmanship to such a high level. Back then, I was far inferior to you. But you only use one move, and I don't like it. Why don't you use a few more? That depends on your skills, master. Jiang Ye's reply was extremely proud. Amitabha. Young benefactor, take this. As Yusu spoke, he stood there and slapped his palm at Jiang Yi. Bodhi redemption. Yusu's palm was infused with 60 years of inner force. It came with great momentum. Sensing danger, Jiang Yi subconsciously used an iron bridge and fell to the ground. Boom! The wall behind Jiang Yi was directly hit by Master Yusu's palm. The light from the house shone on the palm, and there were layers of cracks around it. It was terrifying. How was this still redemption? It was clearly expiation. The surrounding people were already cheering. Master Yusu's 60 years of inner force was not for nothing. This palm technique was even more exquisite, and his control of inner force had reached the acme of perfection. To be able to leave such a clear palm print on the wall without breaking it, Yusu was definitely a master. Jiang Yi lay on the ground. Before she could get up, Yusu had already appeared in front of her, and at the same time, he pressed his palm on Jiang Yi's shoulder. After all, she was a girl. Even if Yusu's 5 skandhas were empty, he would still be embarrassed to hit her chest. It was extremely difficult to use the white dragon steals the heart from this angle. Jiang Yi's life was hanging by a thread under the pressure of the palm wind. Jiang Feng's eyes were filled with killing intent. If Jiang Yi was injured, he would never let anyone off. What bullshit Jianghu? What bullshit martial arts competition? They were all just excuses to bully the weak. Just when everyone thought that Jiang Yi would definitely lose, Jiang Yi actually laughed. Dragon to the 9 heavens. In the dragon subduing sword created by Li Fan, there was such a move. It was a sword technique that calculated the moment the enemy was subdued to the ground, and then neutralized it. Jiang Yi suddenly bounced up from the ground. With a shake of his long sword, he grabbed the sword with both hands. Like a divine dragon coming out of the water, he leaped up into the sky. Whoosh! Yusu couldn't dodge in time, and Jiang Yi's sword grazed his forehead, leaving a bloody mark. Yusu hurriedly took a few steps back. He stepped on the floor tiles and stabilized himself. Jiang Yi had already leaped 3 to 4 meters into the air. Then, he somersaulted in the air and took a step forward. With a green dragon pierces the sun, the long sword carried his body and stabbed towards Yusu's head. Yusu had just stabilized his feet, and there was no time for him to dodge. The sword had already reached his forehead. That's enough. Stop. Imperial concubine Zhou suddenly spoke. Since Li Fan wasn't here, her status was naturally the highest. Hearing her words, Jiang Yi forcefully withdrew her sword. Her body spun a few times in the air, neutralizing the force of the stab. She landed on the ground, put away the extraordinary sword, and hung it on her waist. Everyone was speechless. Everyone was stunned. What a powerful sword technique. Jiang Yi almost killed Master Yusu. How could a 14 or 15-year-old girl be so powerful? Jiang Feng was very proud. This was his sister. Everyone in the Jiang family was a dragon among men. Thank you, Master, for showing mercy. Jiang Yi cupped her hands towards Yusu and said some polite words. This bit of etiquette was still necessary. Amitabha, Master Yusu escaped death. Looking at Jiang Yi in front of him, he couldn't help but sigh. A young hero, truly amazing. Master, you flatter me. You just don't understand this dragon subduing sword technique. Jiang Yi had fought for her face, and all that was left was modesty. I won you by surprise. It's not a big deal. Amitabha. Let's skip the polite words. The dragon subduing sword technique is indeed powerful. Yusu couldn't help but feel a little envious. What about Villa Master Li's sword technique? My master. He can subdue me with one strike. Jiang Yi was a little shy. I'm not proficient in this sword technique yet. Villa Master Li is really a godly person. Master Yusu was looking forward to it. He wanted to compete with Li Fan. This sword technique is indeed not bad. The eyes of Wu Yangzi and the others flashed. They were all peerless experts, so they could naturally see the exquisiteness of this sword technique. Although Jiang Yi only used a few moves, the dragon subduing sword technique was indeed a peerless sword technique. If he mastered it, he could indeed sweep the world in the pugilistic world. Did the Seven Knights Villa really have such a powerful 9 supreme techniques? Apart from the dragon subduing sword technique, what are the other 9 supreme techniques of the Seven Knights Villa? Wu Yangzi couldn't hold it in anymore and asked. I only know a few moves of the dragon subduing sword technique. Jiang Yi shrugged his shoulders. My senior brother learned the Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment from Master. As for the other techniques, they are too profound. Apart from the 2 of us, the rest of the people in the villa don't know them. That's a pity. Yu Su sighed. If I could see the other techniques, this old monk would be satisfied. This consort knows a move called the Dragon Catcher Hand. Master, do you want to see it? Imperial concubine Zhou smiled indifferently, mesmerizing thousands of men. The Dragon Catcher Hand is our sect's supreme technique. How did it become yours? Qingqing sect's Wang Zhini immediately spoke with a somewhat arrogant expression. His Qingqing sect's basic technique was Shadowless Hand, and the advanced technique was Dragon Catcher Hand. Yet, the Seven Knights Villa said that it was their technique. What a joke. This consort knows a thing or two about the Qingqing sect's Dragon Catcher Hand. Imperial concubine Zhou glanced at Wang Zhini. That is a grappling technique. It is indeed powerful. However, our Dragon Catcher Hand. Come and take a look. As Imperial concubine Zhou spoke, she suddenly stretched out her jade-like hand from her sleeve and made a grabbing motion. Wang Zhini's body immediately slid toward Imperial concubine Zhou. He turned pale with fright. He wanted to stabilize his body, but his feet continuously stomped on the ground. He couldn't stop himself and was directly pulled to the front by Imperial concubine Zhou's Dragon Catcher Hand. Imperial concubine Zhou grabbed Wang Zhini's head. A surge of power instantly poured into Wang Zhini's head, directly sealing all the major acupoints in his body. This dignified Qingqing sect leader was directly fixed there, turning into a statue. Chapter 1439. Imperial concubine Zhou practiced an evil technique that sucked people away. Therefore, Li Fan felt that if she practiced the Dragon Catcher Hand, it would be a piece of cake for her. It would be like adding wings to a tiger. At this time, Imperial concubine Zhou used the Dragon Catcher Hand and immediately subdued a Qingqing sect leader, scaring a group of martial arts experts. Fuck. How could they deal with the Dragon Catcher Hand? Even the Qingqing sect leader could only surrender. Could they do it? Wasn't this technique a bit too frightening? It was truly a lost technique of the martial arts world. After learning the Dragon Catcher Hand, not to mention anything else, they would basically be invincible in a fight with someone of the same level. Moreover, they would be able to surprise an opponent of a higher level and defeat him in one move. Were the 9 lost techniques of their villa really that powerful? Swish. Imperial concubine Zhou's sleeve swept across Wang Zhini's body and unsealed his acupuncture points. Wang Zhini blushed and hid in the crowd, not wanting to come out again. The Qingqing sect had lost a lot of face. Amazing. This is too amazing. Great Master Yu Su sighed repeatedly. We are like frogs at the bottom of a well. It's really lamentable. Even Wu Jizi, who had a pure heart and few desires, couldn't help but sigh. You don't need to worry about it. Imperial concubine Zhou retracted her hand back into her sleeve and said with a smile, there are so many martial arts in the world, and each martial art has its own subtlety. Thousand Buddha Palm and Taiji Fist were both unique skills when they were first created. It's just that later generations understood them, they lacked some flavor. Even if it's the unique skills of our manner, after a few hundred years, I'm afraid our martial arts will change a little. Imperial concubine Zhou was someone who had lived for several hundred years. Her words made everyone silent. According to Imperial concubine Zhou, several hundred years ago, the martial arts of these sects should have been very powerful. Everyone, today's competition is over. Please rest early. Tomorrow morning, the golden basin washing ceremony will begin. Xia Ho walked out and said, "Everyone, please move to the bamboo garden." That was a place for other Jianghu swordsmen to stay. Li Fan had built a side courtyard. After Li Fan and the rest move away, these will be left behind as a holiday villa for Chinese tourists. Anyway, the right to use the land here temporarily belonged to Li Fan. He had to continue squeezing out the value of this place. Everyone followed Xia Ho all the way to the jade bamboo garden. Wang Yue followed Imperial concubine Zhou to the Eastern Palace where she lived. The Eastern Palace was built by Li Fan according to Imperial concubine Zhou's preferences. It was a palace garden in the style of the Ming dynasty. Imperial concubine Zhou walked inside. Wang Yue followed closely behind her, but she was quite nervous and didn't dare to say a word. Before she left, she noticed the look in her master's eyes. It was a look of trust. Yes, master trusts me. I must do my best to please Imperial concubine Zhou and then take the opportunity to take away the hero's token. Why are you so reserved? Sit down. Imperial consort Zhou pointed at the chair in front of her. I don't dare. Wang Yue was still very afraid of Imperial concubine Zhou. That Qingqing sect leader was captured by her in one move. How could a small character like her be the opponent of this devil queen? Not to mention herself, even her master couldn't defeat her, right? Don't hold a grudge in your heart. Since you've entered my school, you're my person. Imperial concubine Zhou was a very protective person. If you want, I'll help you ask for the hero's token from Li Fan. Ah. Zhou. Master. You're really willing. Wang Yue was surprised. Was Imperial concubine Zhou deceiving her? If there is, I can naturally help you ask for it. But as far as I know, Li Fan doesn't have the hero's token right now. Imperial concubine Zhou sat on the bed and casually said, "You all think that boy is hiding a treasure. In fact, how many of you know the pain? But, Master, everyone in Jianghu said that Li Fan caught the nine-tailed divine fox. That's true, but the nine-tailed divine fox is sealed. I don't know when it will wake up." Imperial concubine Zhou chuckled. Besides, if there really is a perfected immortal technique, that boy would have given it to the sisters in the manor to practice. Legend has it that this technique can preserve one's beauty. Who doesn't want their women to maintain their beauty? But today, the manor lord is in seclusion. Isn't he practicing this technique? Look at you, you've been led astray by your master. Imperial concubine Zhou shook her head. He doesn't even try to verify it. He's making a decision based on his own speculation. Let me ask you, have you ever seen Li Fan practicing the perfected immortal technique with your own eyes? No, I haven't. Then how can you be so sure that he's practicing this technique? But according to reason. Who set the reason? Isn't it just your so-called righteous sect's wild guesses? Imperial concubine Zhou sneered. Moreover, that boy is very arrogant. At that time, I gave him my technique, but he didn't want to learn it. Instead, he wanted to study the seven-hero fist. Even if there really is a perfected immortal technique, with his arrogance, I'm afraid he's too lazy to practice it. An immortal technique that can allow one to become an immortal. Is there anyone who doesn't practice it? Wang Yue felt confused. This is where you guys are inferior to him. When Imperial concubine Zhou said this, her eyes were full of vigor. He never follows the rules and follows the footsteps of his predecessors. If there really is a path to become an immortal, he will certainly use his own method to walk on this great Tao, even if he has to overcome all obstacles along the way. Disciple can't understand. Wang Yue didn't believe that there would be such a person in this world. Who wouldn't want to practice the method to become an immortal? If this kind of thing was thrown into Jianghu, it would set off a reign of terror. Whether it's true or not, you will naturally know in the future. Imperial concubine Zhou waved her hand. She looked at the beautiful little girl in front of her, but she had her own thoughts in her heart. The reason why she wanted to accept this girl as her disciple was because she saw that this girl had this kind of talent, which was hard to come by in 100 years. Secondly, Imperial concubine Zhou had learned a strange technique. She could see that Wang Yue was the master of a rare famous tool. As long as she taught her a bit, this girl would definitely be able to use a sword to behead a fool in bed and subdue that Li Fan. Li Fan's harem was gradually expanding. If she didn't think of a way, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to keep Li Fan's heart. As long as she trained this girl, she would be able to serve Li Fan in bed with her. She wasn't afraid that this boy wouldn't think about her day and night. Come, let this concubine teach you some martial arts. Thank you, Master. What kind of martial arts will Master teach this disciple today? Wang Yue thought about how she could learn martial arts from a top expert. In the end, she was still a young girl, so she became a bit happy. Perhaps Imperial concubine Zhou would casually teach her a divine technique. Today's first lesson, Charm Technique. Chapter 1440. Imperial concubine Zhou was training her new disciple, while on the other side, Jiang Yi was excitedly looking for her master. When she returned to the sect, the first thing she wanted to do was to find her master. She didn't expect to encounter a bunch of trivial matters. After she finished dealing with them, it was already late. Jiang Yi heard that her master was in seclusion in the small pavilion at the center of the lake, so she first washed up and cleaned herself up before coming to the side of the small pavilion at the center of the lake, asking to see Li Fan. Disciple Jiang Yi greets master. The four beautiful sword maids stood at the side, looking at Jiang Yi with a strange expression, which made Jiang Yi a bit puzzled. What's going on? Why are they looking at me like this? Is my face dirty? Or is my clothes a bit messy? Jiang Yi looked at the lake and looked at herself. She found that she was still beautiful, so she let out a sigh of relief. Jiang Yi is back. Come, let master take a look. A crisp voice came from the small pavilion. Jiang Yi felt a bit strange. Whose child was this? Why did he come to tease her? Jiang Yi looked at the center of the lake, and saw a dignified boy, about 3 or 4 years old, sitting in the pavilion, smiling at her. Child, who are you? How dare you play in my master's pavilion? Jiang Yi immediately reprimanded, and the boy immediately became embarrassed. Cough cough. How can you not even recognize master? If you talk nonsense again, I will tear your mouth. Jiang Yi subconsciously reprimanded, and suddenly understood something. If it was a child from another family, would the 4 sword maids all be guarding here? Jiang Yi was very smart, and in an instant, a bold and exaggerated idea appeared in her mind. You are. Master. It's me. The boy jumped down from the stone chair that was even taller than him, and patted his small chest. What, you don't even recognize master? Master. Your change is a bit too big. Master reversed yin and yang, reversed the flow of internal energy, and became like this. Li Fan pointed at his own boy appearance. Probably for the whole day tomorrow, I will maintain this appearance. Fortunately, it's only the body that degenerated, not the brain. Otherwise, I would cry. Li Fan didn't expect that there would be such an effect after mastering yin-yang reversal. He had to regain the appearance of a child every 81 days. He was probably a little too weak today. Even the heavenly mountain Tonglao could maintain the appearance of an 8-year-old girl. She was much stronger than him. Right now, his little brother hadn't even fully developed yet. Wouldn't he be laughed at by a few women? This is Master's secret. You mustn't reveal it. Li Fan repeatedly reminded Jiang Yi that if others knew about his secret, it would become his fatal weakness. Every day, he would probably face a bloody calamity. Jiang Yi looked at her master and suddenly felt that her master's appearance was rather cute. Too cute. If only she could hug her master. Jiang Yi, don't I look a bit strange? Li Fan saw some clues and asked. No. I think it suits master very well. Jiang Yi felt that her master was cute and approachable. She really liked him. Do you think that master is easy to bully? Li Fan chuckled. When I maintain this appearance, although I don't have any inner force, there is a power that is unprecedentedly huge. However, there is a power that is unprecedentedly huge. What power is it? Li Fan didn't tell Jiang Yi. This is a secret. Only master can know. It wasn't that he didn't believe Jiang Yi, but the walls had ears. Who knew if this secret would be heard by others? Disciple believes in master. No matter what, master will always be the strongest. Good disciple, I heard that before you came, you helped master scare those people outside. Li Fan couldn't go out. He could only ask Jiang Yi about the excitement outside. There are all kinds of monsters outside. They want to take advantage of master's absence to bully the villa. Disciple naturally can't tolerate it. Jiang Yi was a little indignant. If disciple's dragon subduing sword didn't improve, I really wouldn't be a match for those guys. Master, most of the people from the 6 major sects are cruel and unscrupulous people. Why do you need to save them? In disciple's opinion, they should all be slaughtered. Jiang Yi made a cutting gesture. That murderous look caused Li Fan to be a little surprised. This girl was good in every aspect, but her murderous aura was too heavy. After going down the mountain to gain experience, not only did she not dissolve her evil aura, she became even fiercer. After all, the Jianghu was dangerous. Jiang Yi also had that kind of past. It was hard not to have a body full of evil aura. Jiang Yi, your killing intent is too heavy. Li Fan leaned on the stone bench, looked at the murderous Jiang Yi, and sighed, you should accompany me more, so that I can help you dissolve your evil aura. Master is right. But disciple feels that master needs a person with evil aura like me by his side. Jiang Yi spoke out his thoughts, eldest senior brother, and I just happen to inherit 2 characteristics of master. Eldest senior brother is chivalrous, while I am unruly. If I was also chivalrous, I wouldn't be able to make up for eldest senior brother's shortcomings. What you said seems to make some sense. Li Fan nodded, but if your evil aura is too heavy, it will be difficult for you to achieve the great Tao. For example, the 6 great sects are indeed somewhat ungrateful. But your master, I am working hard to restore the pugilistic world, not because I want the 6 great sects to repay their kindness. Master hopes that Huaxia will not lose its most precious wealth in history. Master doesn't care about other things. Hearing the 3-year-old child say such compassionate words, Jiang Yi wanted to laugh, but did not dare to. What, did master say something wrong? Why is your expression a little twitching? No, nothing. Maybe the wind is too strong, so my face is a little stiff. That's true, it must have been hard for you to rush back. Go rest early, you still have to participate in the Golden Basin washing ceremony tomorrow. But master, how are you going to hold the Golden Basin washing ceremony with this appearance? Jiang Yi hurriedly asked. Ha, master has already thought of a countermeasure. Chun. Yes, husband. Chun slowly walked in front of Jiang Yi, took out an exquisite human skin mask from her bosom, and carefully put it on her face. Soon, another leaf fan appeared in front of Jiang Yi, causing Jiang Yi to be dumbfounded. Your big sister Chun knows a little about disguise, she can help me now. Li Fan was a little happy, taking in these 4 beautiful sword maids was really the right thing to do. This disguise technique is so powerful. Big sister Chun, can you teach me? Jiang Yi felt that this thing was too convenient. After learning it, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Those things are not urgent, come here, master has something to say to you. Chapter 1441. Jiang Yi did not suspect anything. She immediately got up, crossed the lake, and landed on the pavilion. Jiang Yi, don't panic. As Li Fan spoke, he gently placed his small hand on Jiang Yi's wrist. In an instant, Jiang Yi felt a huge suction force coming from Li Fan's hand. It actually sucked all the inner force in her body into his body. Although Jiang Yi was shocked, she did not move and allowed her master to absorb the inner force in her body. So what if her master sucked away her inner force? Even if her master wanted her life, she would give it to him. But in just a few minutes, the inner force flowed back from her master's hand. Moreover, the inner force that returned to her body was even purer and denser, as if it had risen to another level. Jiang Yi felt so comfortable that she could not help but moan, causing her face to immediately turn red. In front of her master. How could she do this? It was too embarrassing. This is your master's current ability. Li Fan let go of her hand, and the inner force in Jiang Yi's body was completely renewed. Master. You're getting more and more exaggerated. Jiang Yi did not know what to say. Refining the inner force in her body. What kind of ability was her master using? Nonsense, how dare you laugh at your master? Stick up your butt and wait for my spanking. Hearing a familiar reprimand behind her, Jiang Yi turned around and found another Li Fan standing there, glaring at her. Ah, master, disciple was wrong. She suddenly remembered that this seemed to be Sister Chun's impersonation, even the voice was exactly the same. This disguise technique was amazing. Sister Chun. You're laughing at me, hee, Jiang Yi, you're so cute. Chun hugged Jiang Yi in her arms and gently stroked her hair. If it was not for the soft embrace and the fragrance that entered her nose, Jiang Yi would have thought that her master was hugging her. This kind of beauty was not real. What a pity, alright, go and rest. There's nothing else. Yes. Jiang Yi nodded with a red face, but she said again. Master, please forgive disciple for being unfilial. After I wash my hands, disciple still wants to go out and train. Alright. Li Fan didn't force Jiang Yi to stay. Once we reach the Li family island, we naturally won't have any chance to train. Although I'm worried about your hostility, I can't keep you by my side. With more experience, you might even have a chance to change. Thank you, master. Jiang Yi was really happy to have such a caring master. Master. Jiang Feng is still a potential threat to you. I suggest you get rid of him. Jiang Yi suddenly spoke. No matter what, he's your only brother. However, Li Fan waved his hand. Moreover, Muronging said that Jiang Feng will be handed over to her. But, master, I've made up my mind. Go and rest. He was just a child, yet he waved his hand so maturely. Jiang Yi had no choice but to bow to her master and leave the pavilion in the middle of the lake. When she walked outside, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Lu Zhu held the folding fan in her hand and looked at him with a faint smile. What do you want? Jiang Yi frowned and asked. Subconsciously, she didn't have a good impression of this Lu Zhu. Logically speaking, I shouldn't bother you after you came back from so far away. However, there's one thing I want to ask. Do you want to continue on like this, or do you want to become your master's sword? What do you mean? That's exactly what I mean. Lu Zhu said, if you're willing, then come with me. If you don't, then forget it. With that, Lu Zhu turned around and left, walking towards the depths of the villa. Jiang Yi felt that it was very strange. She also stood up and left. What was this Lu Zhu up to? Jiang Yi walked all the way to the depths of the villa, then turned to the back of the villa and came to the front of a cave. In front of the cave, Chen Junhua was waving his huge sword, as if he was practicing. Elder Qin. Why are you here? Seeing this man, Jiang Yi was a little surprised. Training. Chen Junhua replied indifferently. It's quiet here. It's a good place to train. Jiang Yi nodded, but tomorrow is the Golden Basin washing ceremony. There will definitely be a lot of people looking for trouble with Master, especially those hypocritical 6 major sections. At that time, I'll have to trouble Elder Qin to help. Chen Junhua belonged to the kind of person who trained hard in the villa. He rarely showed up in the villa and usually practiced martial arts. But Jiang Yi believed that at the critical moment, he would definitely come out to help. Of course. Jiang Yi, let me ask you. Are those 6 major sects very hateful? Lu Zhu asked very directly. That's right. Jiang Yi didn't have a good impression of the 6 major sects, although there are a few good people, the whole group is rotten to death. They're a bunch of bullshit fellows. Yes. Lu Zhu nodded, they all deserve to die. But Li Fan is more soft-hearted. He doesn't want to deal with these people, so someone has to do the dirty work. Oh. Jiang Yi vaguely understood something. And I, Chen Junhua, am Li Fan's sword in the dark. No, it's a dagger. Lu Zhu flicked her fan, and a sharp blade immediately popped out from the fan. If anyone tries to harm him, I'll go and kill that person. Li Fan is the light, and we are the darkness. You want to pull me into your group? Jiang Yi looked at Lu Zhu, just you and him, how can you become Master's darkness? Especially you, your martial arts doesn't seem to be that good. I don't rely on martial arts, nor my brain. Moreover, the person in charge of the operation is naturally not me, but them. After Lu Zhu finished speaking, she snapped her fingers. Jiang Yi suddenly felt a gust of cold wind. She subconsciously turned around, and didn't know when there were 5 figures standing behind her. These 5 figures were all dressed in black, but they all wore masks of different colors. They were gold, green, blue, red, and black. These 5 people just stood there, and it was unknown whether they were male or female, as if they were one with heaven and earth. What is this? Jiang Yi subconsciously pressed her hand on the hilt of her sword as if she was facing a great enemy. Relax. Lu Zhu snapped her fingers, and the 5 people suddenly flashed and hid into the surrounding forest, disappearing without a trace, as if they had never appeared. But the killing intent they left behind lingered in Jiang Ye's heart for a long time, as if a dagger had been left in Jiang Ye's heart. They are the 5 elements warriors that I trained using the method of the saint. Lu Zhu introduced, their names are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They are the darkness of Li Fan. These people. What is their strength? Jiang Yi couldn't help but ask. These 5 people all have the strength of a generation's grandmaster, and can continue to be trained. I think in time, it's also possible for them to become half-saints. Chapter 1442. What? Jiang Yi was shocked. That's too exaggerated, isn't it? Sage to be. If the cult really has such means, who in the world can be your match? You might not know this, but in order to cultivate the 5 elements warriors, we need a lot of special resources. Lu Zhu explained. First of all, we need 5 loyal men of sacrifice who are willing to become walking corpses for the sake of the person they love. Secondly, the 5 of them can't be too weak, and we also need a good place to refine their immortal corpses. Lu Zhu pointed at the cave and said, I found this place by chance, and it's actually suitable for use. Although the 5 of them are already alive, their physical bodies are completely dead, and I've refined them to be like copper and iron. The martial arts that they practice are not something that can be practiced by living people. In short, it took me a lot of resources to groom these 5 people. Since you can groom 5 people, you can continue to groom them in the future, right? This won't do. A feng shui treasure land can only produce 5 people. Lu Zhu said, Sect Master has looked for many places, but he didn't find it. There's actually one here. It seems that it's really a coincidence. She couldn't help but feel that Li Fan's fate seemed to have been decided a long time ago. Does Li Fan know about these 5 people? Of course he doesn't. Given his personality, he will definitely make them disappear. Lu Zhu sighed and continued, Li Fan is too kind sometimes, and that will become his fatal weakness. Our existence is to make up for this weakness of his, to allow him to become a truly invincible existence. Why did you do that? Jiang Yi asked. Do I need a reason to do that? Lu Zhu laughed and said, Li Fan is my sworn brother, and I can do anything for him. But you're from the cult, right? If the cult wants to kill Li Fan, what will you do? Sect Master. Lu Zhu shook her head and said, Sect Master has been missing for a long time, and he hasn't appeared yet. I think he might have already broken through to the level of immortals and stepped through the void to enter another plane. You're exaggerating, is Li Wei that strong? Cult Master is very strong, but his method is different from that of Li Fan. Lu Zhu explained, for the sake of becoming stronger, the sect leader can disregard everything and use unscrupulous means. For example, if the sect leader found out about the true immortal art, he would definitely snatch it by hook or by crook to cultivate it and quickly increase his strength. He and Li Fan are 2 extremes. What if he really appears and wants to harm Li Fan? What does that have to do with me? Lu Zhu winked at Jiang Yi. Chen Junhua is in control of the 5 elements warriors. I'm only responsible for coming up with ideas. River Yi was a little shocked. Lu Zhu could even do this. Of course, I'm willing to be Master's dagger. Jiang Yi said without hesitation, but if I discover any signs of betrayal, this dagger of mine will immediately stab into your heart. Sure, this is your freedom. Lu Zhu nodded. However, the problem right now isn't me, but another group of people. Do you intend to attack the 6 sects? The 6 sects. They're just some stupid Jianghu rascals. Lu Zhu curled her lips. I don't care about them. What I'm worried about is another threat. Zhang Feng. River Yi had already guessed it. That's right. Lu Zhu's black eyes flashed with hatred. This man's existence is a serious threat to Li Fan's safety. I absolutely cannot allow him to live in this world. Give up. River Yi said, even if the 5 of you move, they're still not Jiang Feng's opponent. Do you understand what kind of existence a saint rank is? In this world, a saint rank is the pinnacle existence. Of course I know that Li Fan is a saint rank expert. In this world, the only few saint rank experts should be Li Fan, Zhang Feng, Muronging, Imperial Concubine Zhou, and the Martial Emperor, Liao Zhu. Among the 5 experts, 2 of them are from our villa. However, we don't really understand the strength of the Martial Emperor Palace. Who knows, there might be other hidden saint rank experts. Listening to Lu Zhu's analysis, Jiang Yi felt that it was indeed reasonable. A true saint rank expert is an insurmountable peak. Your 5 experts are indeed powerful, but even if they train to the half-saint rank, even if they work together, they still wouldn't be a match for one of them. I understand, but my current goal is not to get rid of Jiang Feng, but to protect Li Fan. Lu Zhu pointed out a very serious point. If I'm not wrong, Li Fan should be in a state where he can't use his power for the time being, right? How do you know? Have you been to the pavilion in the middle of the lake? No, but I've more or less deduced it. Lu Zhu said confidently. Otherwise, with such a big commotion, it's impossible for Li Fan not to show up. He's not the kind of person who would abandon his own people to train alone. The only explanation is that he's injured, and it's very serious, right? You're really a demon. His master had always told him that Lu Zhu was very smart, and that in terms of guessing people's minds, she was far better than Bai Lin Luo and Lin Yuhsin. Jiang Yi didn't believe it before, but now he understood. Bai Lin Luo was mainly responsible for the construction of Li Fan's island, and Lin Yuhsin was also using her talents for Li Fan's legitimate business. Thus, it seemed that the only person who could help Li Fan with his plans was Lu Zhu. Moreover, Lu Zhu was unscrupulous in doing things, and was most suitable to help Li Fan. I just want to know, are you willing to deal with Jiang Feng? Lu Zhu said bluntly. He's a saint rank, but his biggest weakness is you. You want me to get close to him, and then kill him? Jiang Yi immediately understood that Lu Zhu's plan was indeed very vicious. This move was definitely fatal to Jiang Feng, and it was also something that Li Fan would never allow. Li Fan would rather go head-on with Jiang Feng than send himself to attack Jiang Feng and do this kind of fratricide. This was Li Fan's principle, the small justice that he had always maintained in his heart. How about it, are you willing to do this? Lu Zhu asked. No problem. Jiang Yi didn't hesitate, and immediately agreed. You're really willing to do it? This time it was Lu Zhu's turn to be surprised. Looking at the woman in front of her, she felt that she was somewhat scary. Of course, I'm only related to him by blood. Jiang Ye's gaze was abnormally firm. As long as I can get rid of Master's enemy, even if I have to die, so what? Good. Lu Zhu clapped her hands. Then tonight, we'll do this. Lu Zhu pulled Jiang Yi, and began to explain her plan. Chapter 1443. The moonlight shone through the window and into the room. Jiang Feng was meditating quietly under the moonlight. Tomorrow was the golden basin washing ceremony. For Jiang Feng, it was also the best opportunity to get rid of Li Fan. After all, America had contacted him and promised him all kinds of benefits. They wanted Li Fan's life and the bead that sealed the 9-tailed divine fox on Li Fan. Since it was to get rid of Li Fan, Jiang Feng naturally would not refuse such a thing. However, he was not happy recently. Muronging had announced that she would fight him to the death in the martial arts circle convention. After all, Muronging was not easy to deal with. Even Jiang Feng was not willing to take the initiative to provoke this girl. She probably wanted to avenge her father. But why didn't she look for Li Fan? Why did she only look for him? Damn it. After all, they were just a couple. He just followed them to fight, but he had attracted the highest hatred. However, the people from Murong's family were his enemies. Since Muronging was courting death, he would wait for her to come. Stop, you are not allowed to enter. The scolding of his subordinates came from outside the door. It was so late. Who was looking for him? I want to go in. Who can stop me? A familiar voice came into his ears. Jiang Feng's body suddenly trembled. Let her come in. Jiang Feng immediately ordered. Yes. When the subordinates outside the door heard this, they immediately moved to the side and let the person come in. Jiang Yi opened the door and walked into the room. When Jiang Feng saw her, he was a little excited. He forced himself not to scare his sister. Quick, please sit down. For the first time, Jiang Feng felt a little helpless. This was almost impossible for someone as shrewd as him. But today was an exception. Because the woman in front of him was his only weakness. Sit down, sit down. By the way, I have good snacks here. It was made by a new chef. It tastes very good. Try it. Jiang Feng was a very meticulous person. When he went out, he would also bring a chef with him. All right, that's enough. Jiang Yi looked at him coldly. With your intelligence, you should know why I'm here, right? However, Jiang Feng didn't seem to mind. Instead, he was all smiles. Since we're already here, we can talk about our business later. It's the first time in so many years that we've met each other so freely, isn't it? Jiang Yi didn't say anything. He just stood there with his hand on the hilt of his sword and looked at Jiang Feng, who was talking to himself. I've always dreamed of the day when we can be reunited again. At that time, there was no Jianghu, nor was there any Wulin. Everyone was just together, living a peaceful daily life. Do you really want to destroy Wulin? Do you even need to ask? What's so good about Wulin? Jiang Feng brought some snacks for Jiang Yi, but Jiang Yi refused. You saw how shameful the 6 great system-allocated sects were today, right? It's precisely these hypocritical fellows. Many years ago, when we besieged the devil cult and captured our father, they also had a part in it. These people were extremely despicable and despicable. I want them to pay for all the pain that my brother and sister have suffered. Murongbo is already dead. All the grudges have been settled. It's time for you to stop. Jiang Yi said. Is that so? Jiang Feng pointed outside. The Jianghu that I finally got rid of was restored by Li Fan. Master naturally has his own intentions. How can this kind of person be worthy of being your master? Who knows what methods he used? What a despicable fellow. Shua. A long sword was already pointed at Jiang Feng's throat. I won't allow you to speak ill of master. Jiang Yi said word by word. Jiang Feng's heart was burning with jealousy. Li Fan, this was the man who took away his precious sister. You're my sister. Not someone else's. I have no father, no mother, and no brother. Jiang Yi said firmly, there's nothing more to say between us. I'm here today to take your life. If you want my life, then take it. Jiang Feng's eyes became gentle again. Martial world, hegemony, everything is fine. As long as you're happy, I can give you anything, even my life. Then go die. Jiang Ye's eyes slightly fluctuated. But she no longer hesitated and directly stabbed with the long sword in her hand. This sword immediately pierced through Jiang Feng's throat and came out from the back of his head. Jiang Feng's eyes slowly widened. Jiang Yi withdrew her sword, and Jiang Feng's body slowly slid to the ground. Jiang Yi glanced at him and shook off the blood on her sword. She reached out her hand and touched Jiang Feng's chest for a while. After confirming that he was dead, she then turned around and left the room. Not long after she left, a black gas suddenly sprayed out from Jiang Feng's mouth. It spun in the air and covered Jiang Feng's body. Jiang Feng's body slowly rose into the air. The injuries on his body were constantly healing. Soon, Jiang Feng opened his eyes again. After falling into the Azura path, I can't even die. Jiang Feng stood there and laughed bitterly. Azura Chi was a very special way to train martial arts. After training in this kind of internal energy, Jiang Feng could only live until 50 years old. After 50 years old, he would fall into the Azura path and be doomed eternally. But before that, no one could take his life. This was his fate. Before 50 years old, he must completely sweep through the martial arts world and fulfill his wish. Completed. When Jiang Yi returned to the back mountain, Lu Zhu was waiting for her. Yes, I pierced his throat. Jiang Yi nodded. Moreover, I touched his heart. His heart has stopped beating. That's good. Seeing that Lu Zhu's expression was not very relaxed, Jiang Yi felt a little strange. What's wrong with you? You don't seem to be very happy. Jiang Feng is full of tricks. I'm worried that he is not dead. Impossible. His throat was pierced. I did it myself and you suspect me. No, I'm not suspecting you. Never. Lu Zhu said without hesitation, I have already acknowledged your loyalty to Li Fan. But I'm worried about Jiang Feng. He is not an ordinary person. No matter how powerful he is, with his throat pierced, can he still come back to life? Jiang Yi did not believe that Jiang Feng had such a great ability. In short, we will know tomorrow. Lu Zhu sighed. I hope that tomorrow's cleansing will go smoothly. Master wants to leave the martial arts world of the Central Plains. Don't tell me they won't let him. With such a powerful expert leaving China, those people in the Jianghu would probably be more than happy, right? Don't forget, Li Fan has the true immortal secret art in his hands. Lu Zhu said, I'm afraid that even the 9 secret arts of the villa are not as important as the true immortal secret art, right? A man who is not content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Jiang Yi coldly snorted, but no matter who wants to harm Master, I will personally cut off his head. Of course, welcome to the Shadow Army. Chapter 1444. The 7 Chivalry Villas Golden Basin Washing Ceremony officially began. The heroes of the pugilistic world gathered at the Dragon and Phoenix Plaza, waiting for the main character to appear. These influential figures of the pugilistic world, the masters of the 6 great sects, all became spectators at this moment. They were like stars surrounding the moon, waiting for the 7 Chivalry Villa Master to appear. Little Overlord Li Fan. In these 2 years, there was no one who was more famous than him. He was only in his 20s, but he had already mastered an invincible divine technique and created the strongest force in the pugilistic world, the 7 Chivalry Villa. Although the people of the 6 great sects were unwilling to admit it, the truth was there. In the pugilistic world, strength was always respected. Li Fan was a prospective son-in-law of the Murong family, but he had created his current career. This was enough to prove his strength. Wang Yuer stood quietly beside imperial concubine Zhou. Today, she had changed from her light pink ame attire and was wearing the clothes of the 7 Chivalry Villa. The little girl had a long braid, and her pretty face was slightly red. Her gaze was fixed on the stage. She was very curious about the legendary little overlord Li Fan. What did he look like? Was he, as the rumors said, 10 feet tall, 3 heads, 6 arms, and incomparably fierce? The Dragon and Phoenix Plaza was the largest plaza in the 7 Chivalry Villa. On both sides of the plaza, there were 2 pillars. On the east side, there was a golden dragon, and on the west side, there was a colorful phoenix. The plaza occupied an area of about 1,000 square meters. It was spacious and grand. A heaven-ascending platform was built in the center. Below the platform stood a row of the 7 Chivalry sword guards. Each of them was full of heroic spirit, and they were all dragons and phoenixes among men. There were hundreds of martial artists surrounding it. Even with so many people, it did not seem crowded. In order to respect the 6 great sects, there were also 6 resting areas around the heaven ascending platform. The 6 great sects all had their own seats and territories. They would not neglect their status. This morning, Long Fangyu and his horse, Xiao Shifeng, had also come. However, Luo Shuawu did not come, and only sent Jin Jiumao to participate in the Golden Basin washing ceremony. Although he did not like Long Fangyu, Xiaoho still gave him the most basic respect. He arranged an area for his alliance to rest. Soon, Jiang Yi walked up first and carried a gold-plated basin of water before respectfully placing it at the center of the platform. Jiang Yi looked down and saw Jiang Feng standing in the crowd. His eyes narrowed immediately. However, she didn't make a sound and just silently descended the sky-reaching platform. Lu Zhu changed her appearance and stood in the crowd. She also secretly gave her a look. "Manor Lord, please." Xia Ye stood beside him. She was also the master of ceremonies in the manor. At this time, Xia Yi raised her voice and began to announce the matters according to the procedure. Everyone's gazes gathered and looked into the distance. A delicate and pretty young man in a long white robe was slowly walking over, escorted by 3 beautiful sword attendants. This youth was about 20 years old. His eyes were bright and full of expression, like tassels. His hair was long and tied back with a ribbon. He wore a white robe with the 7 beasts of the 7 knights' villa embroidered on it. The young man strode forward with a majestic gait. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly walked over. Wang Yue looked at him from afar, but she began to mutter to herself. "This manor lord looks so impressive, but why does it feel like he's a little feminine?" Yes, he's always mingling with women, so he's a little feminine. Sigh, he's indeed a lecherous person. Master. Sect leader Ame was right. However, how did such a lecherous person build such an amazing manor? "Manor Lord, please come up to the sky-reaching platform." Xia Ye extended her hand. Li Fan nodded and raised his leg to the sky-reaching platform. Li Fan stood high up and looked down at the crowd. He cupped his hands. "Thank you, everyone, for coming all the way to my 7 Knights Villa to witness my Golden Basin washing ceremony. Manor Lordly, you really came out after being called for so long." Long Bailey stood below the platform and shouted. "But you made us wait for a long time. I'm really sorry." Li Fan apologized sincerely. "I injured my vitality a few days ago and have been recuperating in seclusion. Even today, my body is still a little weak." "Is Manor Lordly really recuperating?" Wu Yangzi took advantage of the fact that he had the advantage in numbers and began to speak sarcastically. "Could it be that you're hiding to cultivate? I'm a straightforward person. Since you're cultivating, why is there a need to be sneaky?" Li Fan smiled and said, "I wonder what is the meaning of your question." "Immeasurable heavenly venerate." In front of the crowd, Wu Yangzi ignored his sect leader's senior brother's attempt to stop him and asked directly, "I heard that Villa Masterly obtained a divine technique today. If you master it, you will be able to become an immortal. Why don't you tell us about it and broaden our horizons? If there was such a technique, I would have ascended to heaven long ago. Why would I still wash my hands here?" Li Fan asked directly, "This Taoist, aren't you being a little whimsical?" "Li Fan, don't hide it. You can't hide such a huge matter." Long Bailey spoke straightforwardly, "That hero's token originally didn't belong to you. It belongs to the Heaven Alliance. Even if you snatched it, you can't be its owner. You should return it to its original owner." "Original owner?" Li Fan raised his eyebrows. "That's right. Although the Heaven Alliance was disbanded, Long Fangyu is still a member of the Heaven Alliance. He has always been working hard to restore the Heaven Alliance. Long Bailey pointed at Long Fangyu. The original owner is here, but you're hoarding his things. Is this good? Is that so? Li Fan's expression didn't change. He stood on the stage and spoke frankly with assurance, let's not talk about whether the hero's token is in my hands. If it is, who should I return it to? You said that Long Fangyu is Lu Jinchan's successor, right? That's right. Then Luo Shuawu, Alliance Chief Luo, is also Lu Jinchan's successor. Why can't I return it to her? She is a woman. How can she make the decision? Oh. That Muronging is also a woman, but she is your alliance chief. Li Fan chuckled, based on what you said, you feel that alliance chief Murong is just a figurehead. That girl. She does have some ability. But in this year's Martial Assembly, she will not be the alliance chief. Long Bailey braced himself and said. Also, Imperial Concubine Zhou is Lu Jinchan's ancestor. Talking about their relationship, they are naturally closer. Since there is this relic, according to your theory, it is most suitable to give it to her, right? Imperial Concubine Zhou is my ancestor. The World Alliance is passed down from generation to generation, not backwards. Naturally, it should be given to a new person. So everything in the world is decided by you. Li Fan sneered, Sect Leader Long, you shouldn't be the sect leader. You should be the emperor. A mere sect leader, it is really a waste of your talent. Long Bailey's face turned red, but he continued to shout. Don't talk about these useless things. Villa Masterly, other people might be afraid of you, but I, Long Bailey, am not. I will talk reason with you today. Chapter 1445. Today, I'm going to reason with you. Long Bailey pointed at Li Fan. His voice was so loud that everyone could hear him clearly. Interesting. Let's hear it. The person on the stage was Chun who was disguised as Li Fan. She had imitated Li Fan's temperament to 70 to 80%. He looked at Long Bailey with great interest, as if he wanted to hear what Long Bailey could say. Everyone knows that the hero's token and the true immortal incantation belong to the martial artists of the Central Plains. As for Villa Masterly, you're going to leave China, so you can't be considered as a martial artist of the Central Plains. At most, you're a martial artist of the outer domain. It seems that you, Sect Master Long, have kicked me, Li Fan, out of China with just one sentence. Chun chuckled. Long Bailey hurriedly said. This is not what I said. It's what the government wants. Since you want to leave, we can't let you take away the treasure of China. Li Fan, you used to be a Chinese. You can't plunder Chinese culture, can you? That's right. Sect Leader Long has already removed my nationality. Chun nodded. Sect Master Long, your mouth is like an imperial edict. I admire you. Li Fan, you don't have to hate me. These are all orders from the government. I, Long Bailey, haven't done anything wrong to you. Chun just smiled. What you said makes sense. But I, Li Fan, haven't done anything wrong to you. So, I can't help you even if you come to me to complain about your grievances. There's no need for help. Villa Masterly, please leave the hero's token before you leave. Yes, the hero's token belongs to the martial artists of the Central Plains. I hope Villa Masterly returns it to its rightful owner. A group of martial artists shouted. The situation seemed to be a bit aggressive. Most of the 6 sects were talking about this matter. Even if Wujizi and Master Yusu wanted to suppress it, they couldn't. No one could resist the temptation of cultivation. These martial arts masters now began to shout, relying on their numbers. Long Fangyu stood in the crowd with his arms crossed. The corners of his mouth slightly rose. He didn't even need to say a word because he had already laid out the chess pieces beforehand. He had promised these people that once he obtained the perfected celestial art, he would share it with everyone. However, these people did not know that Long Fangyu actually had the second sentence of the oracular chant in his hands. Once he obtained the perfected immortal art, he would be able to cultivate it to become stronger than them. These martial arts people should just obediently be used by him like a gun. These stupid people, if they can cultivate the first layer of the perfected immortal art, they should be deeply grateful to me. Go and work for me. Go and force Li Fan into a corner and make him hand over the hero's token. Once he mastered the perfected immortal art, he would be invincible in the world. What Luo Shuewu, what little overlord, all of them had to submit to his martial strength. In front of so many Wulin passageways, Li Fan could not turn hostile. No matter how strong Seven Knights Mountain Villa was, could they fight against the entire world of martial artists. In the past, the 6 great sects had a ban on martial arts, so they lost their combat power. But now, the 6 great sects had already recovered their strength. This was a power that even the government did not dare to underestimate. No matter how courageous Li Fan was, what else could he do? Looking at the 6 great sects making a ruckus below, Jiang Yi was very displeased. She directly pulled out her extraordinary sword, gathered her inner energy in her voice, and shouted. In front of the heavenly ascension platform, who dares to be presumptuous? Everyone quietened down a little. They still remembered this girl's awe-inspiring manner yesterday. Fellow Taoists, if you are here to participate in my golden basin washing ceremony, I will naturally welcome you. Chun Er's expression did not change. Standing on the stage, she imitated Li Fan's bearing. She was happy and at ease, as if the people below were not people, but chickens and ducks. But if you are here to cause trouble, then I'm sorry, please leave the mountain villa. Otherwise, you will be staying and becoming enemies with me, little overlord. As she spoke, the surrounding 7 knight sword guards all pulled out their swords, revealing their sharp side. A strong murderous aura immediately pervaded the Dragon and Phoenix Plaza. All the martial arts experts present felt a chill down their spines. My goodness, the guards of this mountain villa are actually this powerful. Li Fan, what are you trying to do? Long Bailey questioned, do you really want to become enemies with the martial arts world of the Central Plains? Whether we are friends or foes, it is up to you. Chun Er looked at them calmly, although I treat people with courtesy, it does not mean that my 7 Knights Mountain Villa is easy to bully. I, Li Fan, will leave my words here. Whoever wants to become enemies with me, Li Fan, can step forward. I, Li Fan, guarantee that you will be satisfied. Wow, you are so powerful. Wiangzi stood in the crowd and ridiculed Li Fan, we have at least 300 martial arts experts here. Do you think we will be at your mercy? Oh. Can a Taoist like you represent everyone? Chun Er was quick-witted. She did not fall into Wiangzi's trap and asked him instead, Wiangzi, Long Bailey, the two of you have been trying to sow discord between me and the martial arts experts. What is your motive? Do you want us to fight to the death so that you can profit from it? After Chun Er finished speaking, she stood on the stage and said, Li Fan, we'll set up an arena here today. Whoever wants something from my hands, come and challenge me. Whoever can defeat me, I, Li Fan, will definitely offer the true immortal art with both hands. Oh. So you are saying that the true immortal art is really in your hands? Long Bailey's eyes lit up. I said it's not in my hands 100 times, but you still believe me. Chun said with a mixture of truth and falsehood, just take it that I have cultivated the true immortal art. Sect leader Long, do you want to come up and experience the power of this true immortal art? Chun advanced in order to retreat. She made a big show of setting up an arena, which scared everyone away. Even Shaolin's abbot, Master Yu Su, was defeated by Jiang Yi, let alone Jiang Ye's master, Li Fan. How powerful is he? Moreover, if he cultivates this true immortal art, he might be at the level of an immortal. Going up to fight him one-on-one, wouldn't that be embarrassing themselves? Moreover, everyone wanted the true immortal art. Who would be willing to be the first to go up? At that time, they would only need to consume some of Li Fan's strength and pave the way for the future generations. There were no fools present, and no one wanted to be the first to stand out. However, if they continued to be in a deadlock like this, they would probably fall into Li Fan's trap. There must be a first person to stand out. But who? This Villa Master Li is merely setting up an arena. Why are you all afraid? A strong man wearing a yellow shirt walked out from the crowd and said with his chest puffed out, since everyone has their own plans, let me be the vanguard for you all. Ah, the vanguard, Wang Chuang. It's him. Everyone's gaze landed on him. When they saw this man, they cheered loudly. Who is Wang Chuang? He is an expert from Qinghai's Kunlun Mountain. 10 years ago, he made a name for himself in Jianghu by relying on his wind god's legs. The current Kunlun sect leader, Miao Chen, is his junior brother. Chapter 1446. Wang Chuang was a hot-tempered person who couldn't hold back his temper and rushed forward in everything. Therefore, he was given the nickname of the Vanguard. He had already been famous in Jianghu 10 years ago. Now, he should have the same strength as Miao Qin, right? Senior brother, have you thought it through? Miao Chen looked at his impatient senior brother and couldn't help but frown and remind him. Everyone was from the same sect, and he couldn't bear to see his senior brother stand out and be taken advantage of by other sections. The perfected immortal art was naturally what the people of the 6 major sects wanted. Although Long Fangyu promised that everyone could appreciate it together, who didn't want to practice such a magical technique and then be unrivaled in the world? Why should they share it with everyone? According to Li Fan's words, this perfected immortal art would belong to whoever could defeat him. Almost everyone here was determined to get the perfected immortal art. How could they let others take advantage of it? Junior brother, don't worry. You have been busy running the sect and have no heart to practice. But I have practiced diligently. Now, my leg technique is already stronger than yours. Although your leg technique is exquisite, senior brother, your limitless cold technique has not been practiced to the level yet. Miao Chen couldn't help but remind him. My limitless cold technique is already at the 8th level. Although it is weaker than yours by 1 level, I can rely on my exquisite leg technique to make up for it. Wang Chuang was extremely confident in his leg technique. Miao Chen couldn't help but secretly shake his head. This senior brother of his used to be a vulgar person. After dozens of years, he hadn't improved. The people of Kunlun sect had always been proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting, but such a strange talent had emerged. It was really a disgrace to the sect's reputation. Come on, Li Fan, I want to ask for some advice from you. Wang Chuang said and continuously stepped on the ground a few times, displaying the sect's lightness skill 8 steps on clouds. He easily landed on the platform and stood opposite Li Fan. Master, you don't have to do it. Let me help you get rid of this kind of person. Jiang Yi was about to make a move when suddenly there was a figure next to him. He stepped on the shoulders of these Jianghu people and jumped onto the platform. Junior sister, you were in the limelight yesterday. It should be my turn today, right? Everyone's gaze fell on that person, and they immediately saw a dignified young man wearing a black student uniform with a fierce tiger coming down from the mountain printed on his back. His appearance seemed a bit ordinary. However, this young man exuded the aura of a king. His eyes shone brightly, making others not dare to look him in the eye. He was also a youth who was only 15 or 16 years old, but his temples were bulging. One look and one could tell that his inner strength was astonishing. An expert, another disciple of Li Fan. This person looks like Lu Xiaohu. Someone recognized Lu Xiaohu, the eldest disciple of Li Fan, who single-handedly defeated all the young masters of the King of Hell Hall. Seeing him today, this youth was actually so young. Could it be that the rumors in Jianghu were false? The King of Hell's Hall, an organization that had been around for hundreds of years, was destroyed by this young man alone. Could it be that in order to increase the fame of his disciple, Li Fan sent out all the masters of the villa to destroy the King of Hell Hall, and then gave all the credit to that brat? Who are you, brat? Wang Chuang squinted at the youth in front of him, as if he did not take him seriously. This is the arena, not a place for you to mess around. Hurry up and get off the stage, go study properly. Your young master is called Lu Xiaohu, the chief disciple of the villa. Lu Xiaohu snorted, beating you, young master still feels that it's a bit degrading. You actually want to challenge my master, bah, shameless. Good kid, I think you're tired of living. Wang Chuang scolded, I'll break your legs, and let you know the dangers of Jianghu. As he spoke, he leaped forward, leaving behind an afterimage in the air. Wang Chuang's wind god kick was also the best in the world, and he claimed that it was more exquisite than his head disciple, and it was not an exaggeration. Wang Chuang was already in front of Lu Xiaohu, and in a short moment, he directly kicked out 3 times. Each kick was aimed at Lu Xiaohu's vital points, as if he wanted to kick Lu Xiaohu to death. When the surrounding people saw this exquisite leg technique, they could not help but cheer. Miao Chen also muttered in his heart, senior brother's leg technique has indeed reached perfection. Just these 3 kicks, I'm afraid it would be difficult for me to kick out. However, Lu Xiaohu did not retreat or dodge, he just stood there, letting the 3 kicks come in front of him. Everyone thought, this kid seems to be scared silly, as expected, he does not have any strength, it's just a show. What a pity, a youth at this age is going to be crippled. Tiger roar. Lu Xiaohu suddenly struck out with his palm. Bang! The powerful palm wind immediately hit Wang Chuang's body. Wang Chuang felt as if he was hit by a train head-on, he directly flew out and landed heavily on the side of the sky-reaching platform. If not for Wang Chuang's quick reflexes, grabbing the edge of the sky-reaching platform and stabilizing his body, he would have directly fallen down. Wang Chuang was extremely shocked, firstly because of Lu Xiaohu's profound internal strength, and secondly because he could not understand, wasn't the 7 Knights Villa's 9 Dragon Force of feminine internal strength, how could it release such a fierce and explosive palm force? How could he know that although the internal strength of Lu Xiaohu was feminine, Lu Xiaohu's tiger roar was truly a fierce external strength? The tiger roar's circulation method was to gather the internal strength in the body in the palm and then explode it in one breath. Even if it was a feminine internal strength, under this kind of explosion, it could also exert a terrifying power. Can't even withstand a single blow. Lu Xiaohu's personality was extremely high profile. He crossed his arms and looked at Wang Chuang amidst the exclamations of the crowd. Are you the legendary all-mouthy king? Your mouth is the strongest. Kid, I just let you off because you're young, don't be so proud of yourself. How could Wang Chuang keep a straight face? He immediately jumped up, readjusted his true energy, and glared at Lu Xiaohu. I'll immediately let you know the power of my wind god's kick. Bring it on. Lu Xiaohu roared loudly, like a ferocious tiger roaring in the forest, shaking the mountains. Even Wang Chuang felt slightly uneasy after being reprimanded like this. He could not help but be shocked. This kid, at such a young age, how could he have such a profound internal strength? He had practiced freely for 30 or 40 years, and yet he was still inferior to him. How can even this kid be so powerful? Seeing Lu Xiaohu's strength, Wang Yuer could not help but want to groan. Was there no weak soldiers under a strong general? Li Fan's 2 disciples were both so powerful. They were obviously younger than her, but their martial arts were so much higher than hers. Just how did the 2 of them cultivate? You don't have to be jealous. As long as you learn martial arts from me, it won't be long before you become as powerful as them. Imperial concubine Zhou reached out and gently touched Wang Yuer's head. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.